from Osceola County Stadium in Kissimmee, Florida, it's Houston Astros Spring Training Baseball. Root Sports bringing you back to spring training today as the Astros take on the Atlanta Braves. Good afternoon. We have some clouds above, but the temperature is ideal. Bill Brown, along with Alan Ashby, Julia Morales will join us in just a few minutes, and the weather just continues to be spectacular, and also the Astros pitching very solid this spring.
Boy, have they been good. A little bit of wind mixed in today as well, so maybe some of that to deal with, and sometimes that can impact the way things go for a pitcher. I have a feeling it's going to lose out with Dallas Keuchel, who mastered the strike zone in all aspects last year as he picked up that Cy Young Award win. And I just think that Dallas is in a perfect position now to roll right into another strong season.
This is where the campaign starts for him, his first start of the spring. Ideally, it would be a 2-inning start, and we'll see about the usual ground balls that he is known for.
Yeah, and it's March 9th, and you wonder as he tries to go out there and make 2 innings today, how does that set him up for opening day? I have a feeling they've got it all plotted out quite well. We were also mentioning that Jake Arrieta for the Cubs, Cy Young Award winner in the National League, makes his debut today. So apparently everybody that's making decisions has this figured out that they can get it done with today as the first start.
Well, it should be interesting to watch. We hope you will do exactly that as we continue with Astros baseball. They meet the Atlanta Braves next.
Here at Osceola County Stadium as the Astros host them in another spring training baseball game. Dallas Keuchel, the first time we'll get to see him this spring, making his 2016 debut, looking to follow up what was a very good season for the Cy Young Award winner in the American League, Dallas Keuchel. And it was about this time 1 year ago that A.J. Hinch, the manager, was trying to figure out who he would give the ball to on opening day. 1 year ago, can you believe it? And at the time, he was getting good vibes from Dallas Keuchel, felt that he could anchor a very strong staff throughout the year, and was getting a lot of good feedback from the other pitchers and pitching coach Brent Strom on Keuchel and his success and the way he worked. So he made the decision. It was about a week from today where AJ made the announcement last year that he would give him the ball, and Dallas Keuchel, extremely genuine when he found out, was extremely excited to get on the mound that day and face the defending Cy Young Award winner and Corey Kluber, a guy that he actually looks up to and likes to watch pitch. So he was really excited that day. It's something that will always be a special memory for Dallas. And, of course, that has been announced again that he will take the ball on opening day against the New York Yankees here in about 26 days. It's around the corner. Astros excited to get this thing going. I know Dallas Keuchel is as well. Ash, I send it up to you with just how far Dallas Keuchel has come. What do you think of him and where he is now compared to what we were watching last year and even years back?
Yeah, you're dead on, Julia, and you go back a couple of years, Dallas didn't even know if he was going to make the rotation, but the decision last year to have him be that opening day guy proved to be a very good one as he shut down the Indians 2-0, working 7 innings of 3 hits, scoreless ball. Obviously, it was Dallas Keuchel that you would see throughout the season. He won his first 5, 8 of his first 9, and Dallas would love a nice repeat.
And then he took that on to the All-Star game start and, of course, the fine shutout performance in the wild card playoff game and another start in the next series with Kansas City. So from start to finish, he was right on it, and that led him to the Cy Young Award. Now it's Michael Bourn, the former Astro, leading it off. And in center field for the Atlanta Braves, he takes a strike. Michael with a .333 average in the early going of the spring. Braves are 2-5. The Astros are 5-2. Bourn late on that pitch. Falls behind in the count. 0-2.
That was just good old country hardball. High heater blown by.
It was. Maybe it's all this caged energy from not pitching in any of the first 7 games.
Don't hold me back.
And he bounces that one. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Brownie, I think even those of us who watched Keuchel every game last year are a bit surprised to find out what kind of a strikeout rate he had in that season that saw him pick up the Cy Young Award, striking out over 8.5 per 9 innings. He really had a big strikeout season.
216 total Ks in 232 innings. He was tied for 5th in strikeouts in the American League. Slapped, and the diving third baseman comes up and fires to first. Marwin Gonzalez with a sparkling effort to get this game started.
This guy can play. And I mean all around the infield. He showed up in the outfield as well last year. He certainly swung the bat. Take a look at this play. And that can be a bit of a surprise with that left-hand swing at the plate. But I'll tell you what, once Marwin gloves it, he's got plenty of arm from any place on the field.
Very well done. Over to the first baseman, Tyler White, for out number 1 for Dallas Keuchel. That looked like a hit to left field, and then Marwin did something about it. He's certainly in the mix at all the positions on the infield as needed, and even if the Astros need an outfielder, he could play there as well.
You know, I think that's a bit of a point about Marwin. Dallas Keuchel a couple of years ago didn't know if he would make the club. Marwin last year was in that boat.
Another good point. Ozzie Albies takes ball 1. He's the shortstop today. It's been a change for the Braves at that position where they've traded Andrelton Simmons to the Angels. Eric Ibar was among the take they got in return for Simmons, who's an outstanding shortstop. But also a couple of top pitching prospects came from the Angels to the Braves in that deal. And the Braves, as you've indicated, certainly retooling. They will be moving into a brand new stadium in Cobb County next year for Freddie Gonzalez, who has former Astros skipper Bo Porter coaching third as usual for him. Terry Pendleton is the first base coach, and it's 3-1. So the Atlanta Braves are really in that retooling process right now. They've gotten a lot younger, Ash.
It's a nice part of town that they're moving to next year.
Yeah. Here's the lineup for Freddie today. Bourne, Ozzie Albies. Freddie Freeman is their mainstay. Adonis Garcia, the DH. Kelly Johnson, Hector Oliveira, Williams Astudillo, Chase Peterson, and Malik Smith. From Osceola County Stadium. Right in front of it, the second sacker for the Astros. Jose Altuve takes care of out number 2 on the second ground ball.
We are seeing a little D here in the first inning. We'll take a look at it left to right in the outfield. Jake Marisnick, Carlos Gomez, and George Springer. That's a group that can go get it. And then the infield, we've seen the range from Marwin Gonzalez at third. That play by Altuve at second. Of course, there's Carlos Correa at shortstop. Tyler White gets a start at first base. He will be a fun guy to watch not only today but throughout the spring. And behind the plate, second straight start for Jason Castro.
Freddie Freeman is the batter. Freeman takes, and that's called a strike by the home plate umpire, Manny Gonzalez. Yeah, that's important what you mentioned about Castro starting these back-to-back games. First catching he has done in the early going.
And much the same as what we've talked about with Keuchel. It's been about preservation of the body for Jason Castro. Let's break you in easy, not necessarily too early. Hopefully you catch a lot of innings on the season.
It's 2 balls and a strike. Of course, there are other options. He can DH as he did in one game. And he may not catch this entire game. It would be pretty surprising if he did, in fact. It's a little early for a complete game by a catcher in spring training.
Dallas is painting away, but that paint is just missing the edges.
And he falls behind 3-1 on Freeman, an accomplished hitter. And there aren't too many in this Braves lineup, frankly. Freeman draws the walk. But the Braves are really collecting young arms. And that's what has them very excited right now, including the Astros former product, Bud Norris. He is in their rotation and will do some pitching tomorrow.
We talked yesterday about Doug Fister and the fact that he doesn't walk many, less than 2 per 9 innings. Last year it was right at 2 per 9 for Dallas Keuchel.
Adonis Garcia, the DH, takes ball 1 with a .333 average. Now, the Braves did some wheeling and dealing over the winter. And they have themselves positioned for improvement, but this year is a question mark in that regard. Line drive headed for the left field corner. Freeman will leg it toward third. Bo Porter is going to stop him there as the throw comes in from Jake Marisnick, and it's a double.
I wouldn't be too concerned about seeing what's gone on here in the first inning with a walk and maybe not overly sharp for Dallas Keuchel. To me, it's the fact that he isn't overly sharp, leaving hitters looking for that kind of pitch that they can handle, thrown through more of the strike zone than Dallas normally would be able to give a hitter or desire to give one. Boy, the Astros working on these relay plays, and you can see it early on. The early work that this club is putting on is impressive to watch. There is no goofing around.
No, there's action on all fronts in this camp. Kelly Johnson, the third baseman, has started at .429 with a couple of runs batted in this spring. Infield has shifted around, playing him to pull. And he takes ball one. Johnson's been a fine hitter throughout his career, coming back to the Braves after starting with them, and he's been with some other clubs.
He's that guy that is versatile in the infield, can surprise you up the middle, and then hits with power.
In for a strike, 1-1.
I don't think KJ thought that was a strike. I think Dallas did. I don't think that face said spring training right there for Dallas.
No. That comes in for strike two. Well, that game face was there for him last year on the way to that 20-8 record and a 2.48 ERA. In addition to the Cy Young, he took away a Gold Glove from the season. Good stop there by Castro, and it's 2-2.
Effort right there by Dallas to try to get that slider in a good spot with a couple of strikes on a hitter. This is one of those spots where he would love a strikeout.
Freddie Freeman is at third. Adonis Garcia at second with 2 outs in the inning. And a swing and a miss, and that swing wasn't with a lot of conviction. He looked fooled by the location. No runs, a hit, 2 men left, and no score. Second and third. Now the Astros come up, and they are 5-2 to start the spring. Here is their lineup for A.J. Hinch today. Jose Altuve at second base. George Springer in right field. Carlos Correa, the shortstop. The cleanup man is DH Luis Valbuena, who belted 25 homers last year. He's followed by center fielder Carlos Gomez, catcher Jason Castro, first baseman Tyler White, third baseman Marwin Gonzalez, and left fielder Jake Marisnick.
On the hill for the Braves, right-hander Julio Teheran. And Teheran out of Cartagena, Colombia. One of the rare players out of there. Last year, quality pitcher for Atlanta in a down season, 11-8 with a 4.04 ERA. Strikes out less than a man an inning. Doesn't have really blow-away kind of stuff, but he's a guy the Braves are counting on. And you can see a lot of home runs given up.
This is his first appearance of the spring. And the Braves were 19-14 in his starts last year. Jose Altuve gets it going for Houston. Jose's hitting 182 with 1 RBI. Pitch is in tight for ball one. Jose pinch hit a few days ago, and we were asking A.J. Hinch about that today. He has a definite plan for all these guys and their playing time, and that was part of it. He smacks this liner right on the left field line, and it kicks out toward the outfielder who picks it up, but Altuve has a leadoff double.
Always intrigued to watch how teams try to play defensively against Jose Altuve, a guy that can hit the chalk down either side, and of course a lot of times everything in between. He is just one heck of a major league hitter, and he's quick inside. You get that tendency to think, little guy, maybe you can bust him in. I want to rethink that one.
Well, he was ready to spin on that 1-0 pitch. Now he's aboard for George Springer, who has hit 400. He takes that, and there's strike one. But we talked about the plan, and Altuve pinch hit a few days ago because the plan was for players at that stage to play in 3 consecutive games, and he had played in the previous 2, so he got just the 1 at bat. But he had been in the cage prior to that in another area of the complex. That one's out toward left center field. Oliveira is not in a position to throw to third. He does get the throw off, but from that throwing position, not much of a chance of preventing Altuve from advancing.
Sometimes the reason a team doesn't perform well over the course of a year isn't just noticed in the stat columns. It's plays like this. Drifting to his left with Altuve aboard, there's no way Altuve's not going to take that 90 feet.
Yeah, Altuve made it easily. Carlos Correa is the batter with a .375 average, looking for his first RBI of the spring. Yeah, perhaps the wind might have fooled Oliveira some, but he was not squared away toward third base when he caught that ball. And he had time to get over. That ball hung up for quite a while.
Plenty of time for his center fielder to relay the message, tagging. So to me, that reaction and everything we saw on the play was not something Freddie Gonzalez would be happy about.
It looks like 1 ball, 1 strike count. Now we're reading the featured and a nice article in the Sports Week. After a 229 season last year, 22 homers, 68 runs batted in, and Rookie of the Year in the American League.
Oh, and do you remember the postseason? A couple of home runs in one big game that looked like we're going to Astros the League Championship Series.
Yes. He takes that pitch, and it's 2-1.
AJ remembers all of it. Well, there's a manager that is on top of everything going on in this camp.
He's not sitting in his office eating bonbons.
No.
3-1.
You know, a lot of times you see the manager kind of hanging back and letting the coaches do things, and that does take place in this camp. But AJ is right there with his eyes on everything going on. And in fact, with the fungo bat, sometimes he's front and center.
That's in the air, deep to center field. A long run here, and it's a morning track. And that'll get Altuve flying way up. 1-0 Houston. Spring RBI.
Right there. One of those RBIs that the regular season, and you want to see this every time from Carlos Correa. And Jose Altuve will provide many an opportunity to pick up a first inning run. You got to pitch up and drives it, and that's what you're trying to do in that at bat.
He's about average. We're getting reports that the sun is creating some havoc on our telecast. So if you were seeing some effects of sunspots, we do apologize for that. Our astronauts are working to clear it up.
There we go, back to blaming the sun this spring.
Well, that reference, we saw Mike Foreman, who's worked for NASA for many here.
I could sit for hours. Silly questions about it.
Well, they were interesting answers, though, weren't they?
Yes, they are.
3-0 to Valbuena. And he takes ball 4. And, you know, in previous springs, it hasn't happened this spring, but you may have been part of a launch party. But down through the years, Astros personnel had a chance to get up at 4 or 5 in the morning and go over to Cocoa for some of those launches. And so there's been that long association between the Astros and NASA down through the years.
Well, if you take it back far enough, Brownie, the Astros trained in Cocoa.
Right.
And so we stayed right there on Cocoa Beach, and the families witnessed more than one launch from that site.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty impressive stuff.
Oh. Carlos Gomez out in front of that pitch. Strike 1 to Gomi, who's looking for his first hit of the spring.
He and George Springer were putting on some pretty good dance moves during one of the workout drills this morning.
When Springer doesn't dance.
Oh, he's good. Yeah. Gomez is proving to be pretty close to an equal, I would say. He might declare that he's way beyond an equal.
Gomez 0 for 5 this spring. That'll hang, and the shortstop is out into shallow left field for it. And calling. Win. They take on A-Rod and the Yankees. Opening day in Gotham coming your way April 4th, only on Root Sports.
How about Dallas Keuchel and his work against the Yankees last year, and that key game that was played in New York to move on in the postseason? The Astros got the opportunity to play Kansas City. The Royals will long remember these Houston Astros, but Dallas Keuchel able to dominate the Yankees bats in front of 50,000 plus in New York. That one-game playoff, and the Astros walked off with the win, and man, that was good stuff. And Dallas Keuchel was up to not only that task, but every task that came his way.
As Keuchel prepares for his second and probably final inning today, he has a major league career record now of 41-35 with a 3.58 ERA. He was the leading pitcher in the American League in ground ball to fly ball ratio. He had more than 3 grounders for every fly ball he allowed last year, and was in character in that first inning. Got a really good play, diving play from his third baseman, Marwin Gonzalez, for the first out. And then another play from Jose Altuve for the second out. Then a walk, a double, and a strikeout followed. Here's Hector Olivera now, the left fielder. Cuban-born Olivera takes strike 1. Olivera's hit .438 for the spring. He's driven in 3 runs. One of the newcomers for the Braves this year. He's 30. And has good strike zone judgment. That's the scouting report on him. He came in a trade from the Dodgers last year. The Braves had bid for him when he was a Cuban free agent. They bid $40 million. He signed with the Dodgers for $62.5 million.
So a big, strong young man.
Yeah. Braves hoping he can provide some sock for them at Turner Field, where they've been so successful in their final year there. Boy, they have a tremendous winning percentage in that ballpark since they've been there. .598 at Turner Field. Here's the first baseman, White, over on the mound. That wind has been a constant this spring,
Dallas Keuchel, that outing against the Royals last year, able to pick up a win, a 4-2 victory Houston had in Game 3 against KC. Dallas picking up the win over Edinson Volquez. And great memories. I want to go back and see those games again.
Yeah. Well, the Royals will be in for the home opener, April 11th.
Hey, who homered for the Astros in that Game 3 against KC in the 4-2 win? That would be Chris Carter.
Okay. Ball 1 to Astudillo. Carter now set for a season with Milwaukee as the Brewers' first baseman.
Tony Sipp and Luke Gregerson came on to close that game out.
2-0. Keuchel was pitcher of the month 3 times last year. Missing there. He falls behind. 3 balls, no strikes. The Braves have 12 new players from outside their organization since last year on the 40-man roster. A.J. Pierzynski returns to do the catching for them this year. 3 balls and a strike. Phillies are also rebuilding in the NL East. White to his left for the second out.
Well, nothing spectacular there, but Tyler White is one of those guys who can really swing the bat. He's not a baby anymore, 25 years of age, and he's in that battle going on to see who's going to be the first baseman on this club. We've seen him swing the bat very well, and I think everybody wants to know how well he can play defensively.
That's a big part of it. Jeff Bagwell was here a few days ago working with the first baseman. Jace Peterson to Tyler White. A 1 hopper for out number 3. 2 more ground ball outs. That's 4 in 2 innings for Dallas Keuchel. And 2 zeros as he makes his first spring start, and that's probably his last pitch of the day. Astros lead at 1-0 on the Carlos Correa first inning sac fly. Neil Kotz, a veteran left-hander who signed late, has a shot at making the Astros bullpen, is warming up right now. And the Astros here in the bottom of the second inning have Castro, White, and Gonzalez coming up against Julio Teheran of the Atlanta Braves. You mentioned that he led their club in wins last year with 11. And he had 33 starts. He had 171 strikeouts, but 73 walks in his 200 2/3 innings. So Braves may very well lead off with him on opening day this year. Ash?
I wouldn't be surprised. He's the guy I would probably point to. Bud Norris is a part of, or is trying to be a part of that rotation, and former Astro. It's a club that I don't think there are a whole lot of expectations around this year.
Well, they have another former Astro in the mix, Mike Fultonevich, who's on the Braves. A young pitcher named Matt Whistler will probably be in their starting rotation as well. Jason Castro gets it started. He's hit 167. That's in the air for the left fielder, Oliveira. And how about this? Jason Castro hits it out to left field. He got it up in that breeze, and it just took off for number 1 in the home run department and number 1 in the RBI category for Jason Castro. 2-0.
You know, I was about to say, as the inning started with that wind blowing in or across from right field, that maybe not a great inning against Tehran for left-hand hitters to swing the bat, but there's that swing, especially from a couple of years ago for Jason Castro, that he can employ so well, and it fits beautifully at home in Houston.
Oh, it works very well at Minute Maid. Jason had 18 homers in 2013. That's his single season high. He was an all-star that year.
This is a guy to watch swing the bat. Tyler White.
286 with a homer so far. Big numbers last year, AA, AAA, and he did well in the Dominican Winter League, also winning an MVP honor there.
I like those awards, and Matt Duffy, MVP of the PCL last year.
Now, White drove in a total of 99 runs between Corpus Christi and Fresno, and then in the Dominican, as you see what he did at Fresno, very impressive numbers, high batting average, 362. He drove in 31 runs in 44 games in the Dominican.
If he could just get on base a little bit, and 467 on the on-base percentage.
His career minor league on-base average is 422, and he's walked more than he's struck out in his career.
Guys are bragging if they can get to about 380 on that on-base.
And all this from a 33rd round draft choice in 2013 who was drafted after his senior year at Western Carolina University. He signed for $1,000.
He's not that guy that can run. He's not going to make the scouts go, well, I can fill up all the columns with the things he can do, but he can swing the bat.
The only other major league player right now from Western Carolina, Greg Holland, the relief pitcher for Kansas City. Liner to left, and Tyler White bangs one to continue his bid to be on the opening day roster.
That wasn't just a crippled fastball hitting into left field. That was a slider from Tehran, so he takes advantage. Let's see what Jason Castro did to slam this home run to left field. We know it's a part of his game. That running fastball stayed up through the heart of the plate, and it's just made for that kind of a swing. Oh, boy, how Jason and all the fans of the Astros would love to see that employed again this year.
Been putting in a lot of hitting work regarding his hand positioning, and he's got to feel good about the results of that. Marwin Gonzalez has hit 1 homer this spring with a .200 batting average for Marwin. You know, there's been talk. I was talking with some of the hitting coaches the other day about Jason and the work he's been doing, and they mentioned hitting the high fastball, and so the little adjustment in the hand positioning really worked well on that swing.
Yeah, I think at times that was a weapon against Jason last year. You get a little bit long and loopy with the swing, and you're under that pitch that normally you would handle.
Oh, bat goes flying over by Freddie Gonzalez. Kevin Seitzer, the hitting coach, had to spin out of his chair and move out of the way.
That is no way to treat a coaching staff right there. Usually you're just trying to hang out and figure out how to not get abused by the sun. And here comes the barrel of a bat. Oh, you saw the shot of the father who saved his son in one of those scenarios here recently in spring training. What a great photo, and what a great moment for a dad with his son.
Well, Porter, of course, the third base coach, wearing the batting helmet because of the third base coach's proximity to the hitter. That's now being done in MLB, but those other guys have the soft caps on. But yeah, they are really exposed for these spring training games, sitting closer to home plate and not having any protection in front of them. The dugouts are heavily populated, both clubs with more than 60 players at this point. High heat, and Gonzalez is down on strikes. Number 1 for Tehran. Jake Marisnick will follow.
Looking at Tehran's stuff, I'm a little surprised he didn't have a higher strikeout rate last year.
Yeah, seems to have a pretty lively arm, Ash.
And he's employed that high fastball. That'll pick up a lot of strikeouts. See Mike Fiers.
Marisnick with a .273 average has gone deep once. He's driven in 2. Strike 1 to Jake. Well, we've talked often about the 3 center fielders the Astros have in their starting lineup. Carlos Gomez in center, George Springer in right, and of course in left field Colby Rasmus. But Jake is better than any of them in center field, so he'll get starts this year, usually against left-handed pitching. Maybe Colby Rasmus gets a day off and Jake starts in left field, and that's where he's playing today.
He and George Springer seem to be the duo that really hangs together, and you won't find better talent and better defense between a couple of guys than you'll see with those guys.
Yeah, there was a story the other day. They even have toy boats here in Florida. So,
I thought that was a mandate.
Well, it might be a mandate. There's, what shall we call it this year? Lake Smith or Lake Heathcote? I don't know what we'll call it this year. But anyway, there's a lake out beyond the right field fence. We change the name of it every year. And I think they were out racing their toy boats on that lake the other day.
Oh, yeah?
Had a little episode. Lost one of them.
An episode?
Yeah. I think they may have had a collision.
Shooting BBs at each other? Or
No, they're just racing boats. That's all right. 3 balls and a strike. A guy's got to have a little fun.
They've got to have fun.
Now, if it were back in the Stretch Suba days, he'd be out there fishing after the games were over.
Nobody would be allowed with a ball out in that direction.
And for a strike.
I think Jake just took a cookie right there.
But jokingly, we've named that lake after Astros pitchers who have allowed a few long balls in the spring. No big deal.
What was the original name?
I'm trying to remember.
Man, I'm calling a right-hand pitcher. And
yeah. Be a few candidates then. Oh, look at this play, and they get the out at second base. That is amazing. White going in hard, and then the throw from the shortstop, Albies, was not in line, but Jace Peterson went up and over and got the call.
Watch how quickly Albies gets rid of this ball. But in doing so, he lost the directional. Almost cost his second baseman in a big way there. That's a really good play at second.
Boy. New rules on sliding. And White did go in hard, but no roadblocks allowed.
Yeah, nothing malicious there. That's just a good hard slide.
Now Altuve. He doubled on the left field line. Here goes Marisnick. And no throw. Jake steals it.
He's a big guy, and that's a lot of body to get moving, but he does it well. Let's take a peek at this jump. You see, he does that nice turn where he just spin off that the front foot, the right foot, and get it going. That's hard to do, but Jake is quite an athlete.
It's his first stolen base of the spring. Last year he had 24 and 33 tries. And very good for his career, 38 for 51 in the big leagues. Altuve skies it. Catcher comes back. Has to deal with the catch. The Castro homer to the opposite field gets help from the wind. Number 1 of the spring from Castro, and the Astros now lead it 2-0. Voyage for Dallas Keuchel this spring went well. He leads with a 2-0 lead after working 2 innings, giving up 1 hit, no runs, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. We took a look at that slide, and we go back to the Chase Utley rule from the playoffs. The Mets and Dodgers breaking the leg of Ruben Tejada on that collision at second base. Of course, no intent there, but this is the way base runners have been schooled down through the years. Take out the guy trying to turn a double play. Well, in this case, there was a vicious reaction from a lot of people because that was a big-time collision. He went well past the bag. That is not allowed anymore.
Look, there's always been a code of honor to a base runner with his teammates about you better get the job done down there. And that code of honor leads guys to take advantage of really a rule that's been in place for a long time but not enforced by the umpires. And so now apparently they are going to reinforce, and I think it's a good thing. I think guys need to be sliding to the bag. If an infielder is at the bag and gettable, get him. But if he's not, you really shouldn't be able to do that.
Dallas Keuchel signing various things. A lot of posters there, pictures, baseballs on his way out of the field. And Neil Kotz is taking over on the mound for his second outing this spring. He's worked 1 scoreless inning so far. He hit a batter and walked a batter, and then he got the next 3. Malik Smith is the batter, the number 9 hitter and right fielder, with a .438 average. And Kotz, that well-seasoned veteran southpaw, pitched against the Astros for the White Sox in the 2005 World Series. He was a late sign this spring, and in fact the Astros were already in spring training when they signed him to give him a look as a possible second lefty to Tony Sipp in the bullpen, Ash.
Yeah, he's got plenty of history in the major leagues, and a guy who's been successful. He's got an ERA through his major league career under the 4 mark at 3.96. He has worked in 483 major league games. So he brings experience. Does he still bring his A stuff?
Well, 3-1 here as he falls behind Smith.
Now, for me, that's one of the things you hear people often talk about. Well, this guy brings experience. But as a teammate, I want to know, does he still bring the kind of stuff that will get people out as a pitcher?
3-2. Last year he pitched for Milwaukee and Minnesota, had 68 appearances with a 3.41 ERA. Good strikeout numbers. He gets a swing and a miss there from Malik Smith, then opens with a strikeout. In 1977, it was Hal McRae barreling into second base on Willie Randolph in the playoffs with George Brett and company playing the Yankees, and that was well beyond second base.
Let's see now, if you're going to employ that rule that says you've got to be able to touch the base at the end of the slide, what do you think here?
Oh, my goodness.
I think that's going to take a really long arm to pull that off.
Yeah, he deposited him into left field. That was just way beyond malicious intent there.
So that was 1977. That tells you this is not a new trend in baseball. And it really comes down to, are the umpires going to call it or not?
Michael Bourne grounded out, and a diving Marwin Gonzalez made the play on him. Well, now, of course, in a situation like that, if the base runner does go after the middle infielder, goes out of the baseline or goes past the bag, the umpire can rule double play. And furthermore, you know, that Utley 2-game suspension now has been lifted upon appeal. So everything back to normal for him, and he had that reputation. People were really upset at him for his slide, but when you look at the McRae slide from 77, it looks tame.
Extremely tame compared to Hal McRae. But again, with your teammates, if you're Hal McRae or Chase Utley, you're a hero for getting the job done. So you've got to be able to balance this thing out. Umpires have to make the call, and you have to understand there's a penalty if you do it.
Smacked into right field. Michael Bourne is going to take that big turn, and George Springer fires one right on the base. That's a fine throw.
We were talking just yesterday about whether George Springer or anybody who pumps it up during the offseason might lose something on the arm. That looked easy into the bag. Watch this. It doesn't look like he's humping up. He just easily flips it and right on the money. Carlos Correa says, I'll take that.
Didn't realize the gun show had come to town.
That is a fun player right there.
He's now repositioning himself over toward the line for Ozzie Albies. And the throw goes over to first. Well, the pitchers certainly appreciate a guy who plays that well in right field. To hold a Michael Bourne to a single, what a difference an inning makes as opposed to him being on second base. Now the double play in order for Neil Kotz. The Astros fare very well in velocity of outfielders' throws. They're up in the 90s for all the outfielders for the Astros. And that kind of report is well known by now. There's Morgan Ensberg sitting next to the skipper. Morgan just arrived in camp along with Adam Everett.
Yeah, I saw that listing of the numbers on the guys. Jake Marisnick was at the top of the Astros heap. I'd love to see that throw off because I have a feeling George Springer would really try to break out the A pistol with that one.
Tap to Marwin's right. Gonzalez with the accurate throw to Tyler White. It crosses over to take that throw. 2 outs.
Ultimately a nice play by Marwin. Nothing spectacular there, but Tyler White with a little dance step to get back on the other side of the bag to make the play.
A.J. Hinch calling time is coming out toward the plate now.
There you see the the moves into foul territory. What's going on here?
Jason Castro looking down at his left arm, I think, or elbow.
I'm wondering if the bat hit Jason following that swing. I think we'd have to take a look at things, but he's showing that left forearm, and that's where you'll get it a lot. Watch the bat go around. And there it is, elbow area.
Ooh.
Yeah, and that's really dangerous. And you can see how easily you could break a bone with that swing.
Long follow through by Albies.
Spring training, but Jason Castro is going to tough it out.
That's one reason to limit the catching in spring training. Limit the injury opportunities.
If you're feeling tough at home and you want to just test yourself, have one of the kids bring a bat and swing it at your elbow.
Freddie Freeman comes up. And Castro makes the stop on that one in the dirt for ball one. Boy, he is such an important guy to the Astros.
He is that. And then you see him hit that home run the other way, and you realize how big he could be.
And Max Stassi could be his backup. That's yet to be determined. We were talking with AJ this morning about Evan Gattis. The plans were to have Evan Gattis do some catching this spring, but then he had to have surgery for sports hernia. And Gattis hasn't been able, of course, by design, to get on the field yet in terms of playing in a game, and isn't close to doing that right now. Toward the left field line, Marisnick churning, and that one goes over for an opposite field home run, the second of this game. Freddie Freeman does what Castro did. And now the Braves are even at 2-2 on Freeman's second of the spring.
That's a guy that's accustomed to hitting the long ball. But it's the left field area. As you look at the flags out there in right center field blowing toward that left field corner, left field's going to give him up today if you put him in the air. Pitch up. Oftentimes a pitch that'll get you it out on a routine fly ball to left field.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of those days when that wind has to be noted because it is strong. Adonis Garcia with the double to left first time up, comes around again. But just talking about the catching situation as we were with the Astros, so Castro becomes so important to this club in a lot of ways, especially when you consider depth at that position, because the Astros are pretty young in the backup catching area right now. 1 ball, 1 strike. They had Hank Conger a year ago, and he's not in the organization anymore.
Hank was a great guy on the team, did some big things for the club, but the catching side of things came up short.
Marwin Gonzalez reaches out and then fires it to Tyler White. Excellent play. 2 runs, 2 hits. Freeman goes deep to tie it at 2.
Saying that Gregerson was probably one of the better ones. Guys, I tried to sneak back there. I'm not exactly sure when this shootout was going on. They're being pretty secretive about it now. I don't know if they want their talents being shown to the world. But I'm going to have to do some more digging to see who did well in that. George seems to think that he's not very good at basketball, so he probably didn't win.
We heard that, it was Jake Buchanan made a long shot, and they get extra points, I think, for the length of the shot, correct,
That's
Julie?
right. They're teamed up. They're teamed up, and it's March Madness style. I think there's a bracket.
Okay.
And they're knocking each other out.
You know,
so this will last a few days, I believe.
What I heard in that interview you had is that George might have been touting himself as the dunk champion.
Oh.
Yeah.
Given the opportunity to have that played out.
I would not be surprised
Well,
if George Springer could come up with some great dunks.
Sure, with his jumping ability. A little pop-up out behind second base. Takes care of out number 1. Springer now 0 for 2, but it was Jake Buchanan. There was another guy, I can't remember who it was, who connected for the long ball today. And that department, and that will be the bracketology we'll be following throughout the month of March with Julia, because she comes out early. She comes out on 192, Ash, so she's leaving about 4 in the morning to get here for the 9 o'clock workout.
That's all right, Julia. I take 192 as well. Brownie's got the He's got the toll road. He makes it on in on.
Well, we have to.
I never know what I'm going to run into. Like yesterday when I walked out there and they're all shooting hoops.
Yeah.
And today they actually had a football they were throwing around.
Okay.
You just never know. I don't know what they're going to do tomorrow. Maybe some tennis rackets or...
Well, you know, tomorrow will be totally different, Julia, because it is the first night game of the
Oh, that's right.
So they won't even be there. Yeah. This one gets away from Carlos Correa for a 1-2 count.
We've got some bat toss competition going on today.
Is that one of the sports for them, the bat throw? Because we've seen some of that.
I'll tell you what, Pine Tar just isn't what it used to be.
No.
Well, I imagine when the guys see Julia coming around and they've got the competition going on, and they know the camera's going to come out, maybe they put on their best stuff.
Well, Julia sank a couple of long ones yesterday.
Did she?
And
or is that just legend she's throwing out?
No, there's video evidence.
Is there?
We had it on tape.
Wow.
We ran it in the post-game show, too.
Yeah.
They gave me some love. I played.
But now, I don't know if you're allowed to take part in the bracketology, are you?
Well, Tucker asked me if I'd be his teammate. I asked him how much he was paying.
Routine grounded a shortstop. Correa's retired, 2 down. Now, Julia, you've been around these guys a lot. They had great chemistry in that clubhouse last year. Any kind of difference for you with some different people in camp this year? Anything going on there?
You know, I'd like to say it's different, but it's a lot like it was at the end of the year last year, guys. So the new faces that came in have already kind of just jumped in, and they've become a part of this family. Even Pfister saying before the game, you know, his goals this spring training are to just be everyone's teammate, to know everyone, and he's already been accepted. Of course, great guy. I was glad to catch up with him before the game. But, yeah, I mean, they're still just as loose. Marwin's standing over me saying that I'm lying. So I'm not, though. It's a great group, and they have a lot of fun together, and it's really obvious when you watch them play every day.
Is Marwin showering you with seeds this year again?
He actually just gave me my bubblegum shower. He forgot the seeds today.
Okay. Let's see what the wind does with this one out to left field. No big problem for the Braves left fielder, Hector Oliveira. It's a 1-2-3 third, and it's 2-2 after 3.
Astros hosting the Atlanta Braves. MLB TV is back, or that's the TV Premium, and it is back with a new low price for 2016. Watch every out-of-market game for every team live in true HD on over 400 devices. Blackout and other restrictions, of course, do apply. Visit MLB.tv for your details.
2-2 game, and Pat Neshek is in for the Astros. Pitcher number 3. Oh, boy, this catching spot is going through a difficult time today. Max Stassi just came in the game, and he's already down on the first pitch.
Jason Castro, I would imagine, was slated to catch more today, but taking the bat on the elbow got him out, and now Max Stassi sees one pitch turn into a nightmare. Oh, man. Right on the knee. And yeah, there's a shin guard there, but you can just have that ball blow right through the shin guard, oftentimes on the slot between a couple of those portions of the shin guards. That is no fun. But it's a little better than other options.
Castro, who homered in his only at bat and then got hit by the bat on the follow-through, one of the Braves hitters on the left elbow area, leaving the game. Pat Neshek was 3-6 last year, and with 28 holds, really had a good year underway, but he had a foot problem. He pitched with that throughout the season. Numbers fell off at the end of the year, and then he had that extra piece of bone surgically removed during the off-season. Because left-handed hitters are more of a challenge for somebody with Neshek's style of delivery. 1 ball, 1 strike.
He had that lengthy span early on in the season last year without walking a man. Little over the top with a change.
Different style delivery for Pat, who's 35 years old, from Madison, Wisconsin. He's pitched 363 times in Major League games. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Very valuable part of the Astros bullpen. And last year, with those 28 holds, he ranked tied for third in the American League.
And it was a bullpen that was a very valuable part of that run for the Astros.
Well, the nice thing about Pat is his ability to pitch often, although it was often with pain last season. Johnson's down on strikes. Hector Oliveira comes up next. Back to that slide into second that we showed earlier. The rule now is the base runner going from first to second has to get his body down on the base path before he gets to second base. He has to be sliding before he gets to second. No roadblocks extending to the outfield side of second allowed anymore.
So if you do get down before the bag and then kind of bounce into that roll, is that then still illegal if you go by the bag?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly.
And what they used to always say to us is you have to be able to, in one form or another, grab the bag at the end of the slide.
Correct.
And so technically you could go by the bag and still be able to grab the bag.
Well, that's true. I would assume that's going to be the case. We'll have to see how it's enforced. Gomez in center, running and diving, unable to make the catch. Marisnick backs him up, and it's a looping single for Oliveira. Well, that's the nice thing, too, about these Astros outfielders. They're all speedy, and they back each other up well. So the guy who's in Gomez's shoes can try the diving catch because he knows he has support behind him.
Let's watch the jump. Looked like the first step or so kind of went back and to the right, and not sure it was the greatest of jumps by Carlos.
Now Astudillo's the batter, and he grounded out in the second inning to Tyler White. There's strike one. If the middle infielder happens to be there standing on second or right in front of second, then he's still fair game.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll never take that. Well, I say that and then think immediately about catchers, and you can't hit catchers anymore. I was going to say they'll never take that out of the game.
0-2.
When Buster Posey went down, that was the impetus, really, to take that collision at the plate out of the game. Is there a second baseman? And I'm sure there are a number that, if they got hit, would there be a consideration for taking that out of the game?
Well, and that brings up the fair question. Tejada suffered a broken leg. What if he hadn't suffered a broken leg but just was bruised or something? Would we have had this rule change?
I say no. Now, he was not that really big name guy that got hit and all, but yeah, you have an injury like that and it sets it up.
Runner going, ball hit in the air. Springer breaks toward right center field, launches his body, unable to make the catch. Gomez backing up, gets it into Correa, the cutoff man, and it's first and third on the Astudillo single.
Very seldom that George Springer lays out and doesn't come up with one, but that was full out. Couldn't make it. That was a good jump, by the way, at first base. Not that portion of it. That portion was a bit ill-considered. Okay, I'll check with my third base coach. I got it. I know that.
Jace Peterson's the batter. There's strike one. Who was it? Ruben Rivera years ago, who kept running back and forth between one base and the other. Didn't seem to have any clue which way he should be going. That was one of the classic highlight plays.
Are you saying there's a limitation on those remembered for that kind of a move?
No, not really. Not really. I think that was it. It was just such a foul ball here.
I think the home plate umpire stepped in and said, nope, that's a fair ball.
Oh, he did? Okay, I thought he was calling it foul. So
that Max Stassi reacted nicely to the umpire's call.
Okay. It was a fair ball.
You know, by the way, a lot of people through the years seem to think home plate is in foul territory. I've heard many a hitter say, no, that ball hit home plate.
No.
Well, yeah,
Sorry.
Home plate actually happens to be fair. And furthermore, it doesn't matter where it hits if it winds up fair and doesn't touch a body.
That's true. The base lines come together at the point at the back of home plate. So the entire home plate is in play.
It's amazing how many major league players have no idea about that.
Now Malik Smith takes ball one.
Or back in the illiterate player days, that was the case.
Well, if they bounce the ball off home plate and it bounces high and they beat it out, they're not going to say home plate's in foul territory, right?
Did you see me run on that ball I slammed?
2-0.
Something I could never say.
Right there to Tyler White for out number 3. No runs, 2 hits. And good work by Neshek to get out of trouble. Keep this game tied at 2.
It's a huge swing, just like we had seen Carlos Gomez do throughout his career. Well, it's obviously going to be a process for him. He's still going to play 100%. A.J. Hinch even saying, I'd rather put a governor on a player than give him a kick in the rear. So we love the passion that he plays with. We love how hard he plays with. But there are times where we'd like him to tone it down just a bit at the plate and have a better controlled swing. We'll see how that works for Gomez. Always a work in process, though, for him, as he has been doing this for a very long time and playing the way that he's been playing for a very long time, guys.
Julia, did you hear that the most interesting man in the world is not very interesting anymore?
What? Why is that?
Yeah. Well, you've seen him on TV. You know, the advertising campaign. They're going to change the most interesting man in the world. They're going to phase him out.
Wait, where is he going?
He's going to retirement land, apparently.
More very interesting.
As far as that advertising is concerned, he probably will get another job. He's 77 years old. Very well known, but the target audience they want is younger. So there's going to be a new most interesting man in the world.
Well,
and that came up on the heels of Carlos Gomez.
Yeah, I think he should be in the mix.
Together.
Don't you think that he would be a candidate for that?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Ooh, that'd be good.
Gomi told me a great story right before he took the field about getting hit in the face in the minors by a pitch, like right above his teeth. Had a lot of work done on his teeth back then, and so now they're still his teeth. But when he's finished playing, he's talking about getting some work done to fix that.
Oh, boy. Chris Volstad in the game to pitch. Julio Teheran, the starter, in 3 innings, allowed the Astros 3 hits, 2 runs with 1 walk, 1 strikeout. We've seen Volstad in the big leagues. Came up with the Marlins.
By the way, back on Carlos Gomez, let's just stay on the next most interesting man in the world. I ran into him early in the spring, and I said, hey, I hear there's a little something different in your approach swinging the bat this spring. And he looked at me like I was an idiot. No, I'm going to do it the very same. I want to be aggressive. And so it's funny. You talk to these guys, and it flies in both directions sometimes.
That's toward the left field corner, and that one goes foul.
That one was flying in the correct direction.
Yeah. Well, you know, we read an awful lot of stories about spring training, different players, different approaches. Boy, the writers do a great job, don't they? They're just cranking out stories and different angles from all the different major league camps. It's really good, interesting reading.
I played with a guy that had a great story, and I don't remember all the specifics about it, but this guy did an interview that he told this writer how he was working on this way that he could get in the whirlpool tub all the way under. I think he had some kind of had been hit in the head or something, so he needed to get his head down in the bottom of the whirlpool, and he would use a snorkel to stay down there for lengthy periods of time. It was a wonderful story.
Were you ever part of any players who shared a clubhouse with you, just pulling a rider's leg for?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that would be one of them, of course, but this one gets by the left fielder, Oliveira, and that gives Gomez a chance to cruise into second with a double.
Joe Niekro used to be able to drag reporters along with him because he would walk by them and strategically kind of whisper something that was just audible enough for the reporters to hear about a trade that was in the works.
Oh,
and, that sort of thing was always going on.
That's cruel. Yuri Perez is going in to pinch run for Gomez. He will probably just stay in center field. Well, Gomez comes out of the game after his first hit of the spring.
I hope he wasn't asking for that baseball.
No. Well, he might have been, because he is a candidate for the most interesting man. Max Stassi with strike one. And on the very first pitch when he was a catcher, he went down after getting drilled by that foul ball.
Well, if that 77-year-old version of the Most Interesting Man could do all those things that he did, imagine what a younger version can do.
He probably felt like it was about 120 if he did all those things. Stassi takes, and it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Stassi is 2 for 10 this spring. Yuri Perez is the pinch runner. And the shift is on. And that works out well for the Braves. They get their second baseman, Chase Peterson, involved. Out number one, but the Astros to advance Perez on the ground out.
Not a difficult decision, but a good reaction by Perez on the ground ball to his left. Once you have that ground ball at you or to your left, generally you should be able to move the 90 feet.
Now, from Stassi's standpoint, that was mission accomplished.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, even in spring training games, you try to accomplish what you would do in midseason.
Infield in for Tyler White, who banged a single to left. Strike one. Yeah, because so much easier to score that runner from third with 1 out than from second. So Stassi steered the ball up the middle, and that's what hitters are taught to do in that circumstance. Doesn't have to be hit hard. In fact, sometimes it's better if it's not. Over the years, we've seen sometimes maybe a sharp ground ball to the second baseman. Sometimes he'll throw to third with nobody out. But usually, if there's any chance that it wouldn't be an out at third, he's not going to bite on that.
Who was that second baseman late last year that pulled that off? It might have been Robinson Cano.
Yeah, okay.
I don't recall precisely, but you get that aggressive guy that has a good arm.
Yep.
He'll get the out at third base.
Tyler White with 2 strikes, looking for contact and an RBI here. But this is what he does. He knows the strike zone well, so he did not fish for that pitcher's pitch. Still 2-2 to Tyler White.
He's handling the breaking balls today.
The group of sponsors came over from Houston to see the game today. Hit sharply and on through into left field off the glove of the third baseman, Kelly Johnson. That gets the run home and into second base. White is in head first safely. Well, he hit it hard with 2 strikes in the count and wound up at second base. The Astros have the lead 3-2.
Twice today, Tyler White has hit the ball sharply, and that's what they say about this guy. May not hit as many home runs as some of the other guys that are vying for spots, but he's a really pure hitter. Hits it sharply, gets it through. Now, the one thing they say about Tyler White is he can't run, but he comes up with 2 bases on this. And a good part because he took off hard down the first base line.
And we're still looking for a scoring decision on that, with Marwin Gonzalez batting. And taking ball 1 from Bolstad. The Braves were 67-95 last year. In 2013, they won the National League East with 96 wins. Then they slumped to 79 wins, and down to 67 last year. They made a change in the front office. They brought in John Hart. And now the general manager under John Hart is John Coppolella.
Andrelton Simmons was going to be that guy that was going to be the shortstop for the next 15-plus years. And he's gone, and I guess that says anybody at any point, if a club turns bad, is subject to a trade.
That was ruled an RBI double by Tyler White.
Not good for Tyler, because any hit is big when you're talking about a body of work of spring training.
Well, you bring up an interesting point, too, because there's that competition at first base. So sometimes a scoring decision can be looming large on the stat sheet, right?
Despite the fact you're hitting .480, we're going to have to send you down.
Marwin Gonzalez takes the walk. Yeah, that's going to be the disappointing part if somebody is hitting that well and doesn't make it. But we've talked about 4 different players in the mix for that first base spot. They're not all going to make it.
Yeah, that'll be the disappointing point, but it'll also be the good point that everybody in the organization can say guys that were performing this well didn't even make this club.
True. Jake Marisnick outs into a force. That's strike 1 to Jake. He came out of the gate flying, .379 last April with a .621 slugging percentage for Jake.
Looked like a man on a mission. And it tailed off, but he still had his moments, and he was another one of the guys that was vying at the end of the year to become double-digit worthy in the home run category.
It's 2-1. Another part of that deal involving Marisnick coming from the Marlins. Right-handed pitcher Francis Martes is drawing rave reviews in the Astros camp. Colin Moran was a part of that.
There are those that think that Colin Moran is going to be a heck of a major league hitter. Steve Sparks went so far the other day, Brownie, as to call him a great hitter.
Okay.
That's his prediction for Colin Moran. So
that was on your broadcast from George M. Steinbrenner Field.
So you had to drag me into that prediction, huh? Yes.
That Tampa broadcast on Astros radio.
That is it.
I didn't listen that day. I'm sorry.
If you had, you would have realized that Steve Sparks sits on no fence.
Well, take a position.
Yep.
What's your position on that?
I haven't seen enough of Colin Moran.
Okay.
But one way of weighing in a bit is to listen to a lot of people, and I've heard some good comments.
Marisnick's down on strikes. 2 outs. Remind me when Carlos Correa comes up to pass along an opinion on him. Is he coming up again, do you think?
You are a bold predictor.
Or do you think he'll be...
He may be done with his day.
He might be done. Remind me, anyway.
I'll try to do that.
You know, you've got a lot on your mind
I've
today.
just about gotten to the point where I'm ready to make a prediction about him as well.
Ooh. What would your prediction be on Jose Altuve?
One of the game's outstanding and underrated second baseman. That's where he already is. I guess that's not a prediction, so I really failed already in part 1 of that. He'll win a batting title. Oh, yeah, he's already done that. And he may pick up more. Guy is a heck of a player.
What we're hearing about him this spring is he's still trying to refine things, though.
That'll never stop for him. If you can hit .341 as he did a couple of years ago and twice have over 200 hits already in his career, you are probably pretty driven.
Here's the question for you on his style of hitting. First time up, he took a pitch, and on 1-0, he ripped a double. Does he need to get to 1-0 in the count more often?
Take a look at his first pitch numbers each of the last 2 years.
They're good.
They are fantastic, as are most hitters. So it shuts down a lot of the people who say you can't be swinging at the first pitch. Those people tend to remember the 650 that a guy made out and not the 350 that he got hits.
Right. Well, then the question for you would be, that's well known around baseball. So will the pitchers be less likely to throw him anything to hit on the first pitch now that he's done that?
Well, that's fair. I'm not sure a lot of even major league pitchers are quality enough to try to just miss on that first pitch. I think they're trying to nibble and find the strike zone.
Julia has more.
Yeah, Dave Hudgens, the hitting coach, was saying, he's working on getting a good pitch to hit. They all say that, but it's the swinging at pitches in the zone, like you guys are talking about. He's swinging at pitches outside of the zone 37% of the time. That was last year. League average 30% of the time. So really trying to zone in.
Okay.
Yeah, but he also hit much higher than the rest of the league. And so it's always one of those tough juggles for a guy who's good.
Right. And this one into the right field corner. The wind is taking it. It's a fair ball. 2 runs are going to score. And Altuve is headed for second. And they don't make a throw to second. And they could have had him because he had broken it down a little bit. But it's 4-2 Houston.
Okay, so right on cue, Jose Altuve doubles and picks up some runs for the Astros. Last year, first pitches to Jose Altuve. Those of you who don't like the way he swings the bat early, or who like it, it really doesn't matter. He hit .425 on the first pitch he saw last year.
Wow.
That's a figure I think most of us would take.
He's late getting out of the box. I think he thought, obviously, foul ball.
Yeah.
And then the wind started working it back, and then he realized he needed to run. And it winds up being a 2-run double.
Altuve had 139 plate appearances that saw him swing at the first pitch. And in those plate appearances, he had 57 hits, 8 doubles, a triple, 3 homers, and drove in 13.
2 doubles today for Altuve. Springer with the ground ball. High throw, and he's going to be safe, and Altuve will... Fontana, the pinch runner, will score. And now it's 5-2. Yeah, Altuve was on the bench there, so he was out of the game. Fontana scored. So that's going to be an error on the shortstop.
It's really nice when opening day comes, isn't it?
Yeah, bring it on.
You don't have substitutions in the 4th inning.
Let's get there.
You mean this guy's going to play the whole game?
Well, so that error will really create more stress, so to speak, for Freddie Gonzalez. He's going to the bullpen now. Doesn't want to overtax Chris Volstad, who should have been out of the inning. And meanwhile, for the Astros, it's a very nice lead of 6-2. We'll be right back. Who just made a costly error, allowing run number 6 to score. Now Carlos Correa is coming up, and pitcher number 3 on the mound for the Braves is Rob Wooten. What's that in the distance there, Ash?
In the distance?
Yeah.
That's the Carlos Correa name. By the way, he's at the plate right now, Brownie.
Oh, okay. I was looking at that shot on the monitor. I didn't know what that was.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There is ball 1 to Carlos.
I see Carlos Correa's name every chance possible.
Yeah. Well, he has a sac fly and a ground out today. Woody Woodward is here, former general manager of the Seattle Mariners. Fly ball deep center field by Michael Bourne, bouncing high, going above that yellow line for an RBI, for a double rather, not an RBI double, but the base runner gets to third. Applin. Andrew Applin has gone in to pinch run for Springer.
Was that a first pitch, by the way? I think it was. Fastball got drilled for the double to center field. Oh, was that second pitch?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll break my bubble.
That's okay.
By the way, back on Altuve, since I'm riding that train. In his .341 batting title season on the first pitch, he hit .430 with 18 doubles and 3 dingers. So he likes that first thing he sees.
Valbuena's the batter. Correa leaving for the pinch runner. And that's strike 1. And that's Danny Worth out there. Pinch running.
Oh, who's that in the distance?
Yeah, that was in the distance.
I've got to figure out my cues a little better.
No, that really wasn't. But we'll get to this Carlos Correa comment if Valbuena doesn't hit this pitch for out number 3. All right. So Woody Woodward's here, GM of Seattle Mariners. Alex Rodriguez came up when he was 18 years old. Is there a comparison between Correa and A-Rod? He said, definitely. I've put that in my reports. He's still doing some scouting for Seattle. What about Correa's range? He said, I'd take him right now. I wouldn't worry about it. He said, I don't know who's knocking his range, but it's fine.
There you go. You get real baseball people who sit around and would just love to have this guy, and then you hear other people saying, well, he's too big for, any manager in baseball would right now throw it down and say, give me the guy. I want him right now on my shortstop spot.
And then the other thing he said, and I'm glad Valbuena took that pitch, 2-2. He said, well, when A-Rod came up, some of our scouts said, well, he might, once he puts on weight, be too big to play shortstop, so maybe he's a third baseman. Maybe he's a left fielder. He said, well, you're telling me that he's going to hit well enough to play one of those corner positions? Then we've really got something here.
Yeah, that's a good point. You tend to overlook, you kind of make the assumption already this guy's a hitter, as we know already about Carlos Correa.
And you still have A-Rod, who had a good season last year, now DHing. So he's still of value, even though he's not a shortstop anymore.
A good glimpse at him the other day in Tampa. He is a big fella.
Yes,
he is back to being large.
He is large. This could be trouble with the wind and the sun, and it's not even catchable. The wind took it right out of play.
The first time I saw Carlos Correa, especially in person, I could not help but think about Alex Rodriguez and when he first came to the big leagues. Very same kind of body.
For some reason, where did we get that information? Somebody didn't think he had much range compared to some of the other top shortstops.
Are you talking about the ratings that came out this year?
Maybe that was it. Is it the Ultimate Zone rating?
Could well be. I don't know specifically, but I say, come on. What are you watching?
Yeah.
And that's, it's part of why I have a hard time with some of the evaluations that are being put out there, because it requires somebody to evaluate, and I don't know what the quality of the evaluator is in every case.
Excellent point.
In my case, I know, and it's not always good, but I know what I believe.
Valbuena takes a walk. His second walk of the day. Bases are loaded now, and Yuri Perez went into pinch run for Gomez. Actually gets to, how often does a guy go into pinch run and he gets an at-bat later that inning? That's pretty rare.
And then gets pinch run for, well, at least right now, Valbuena gets pinch run for. Matt Duffy is going to grab first base.
Yes, he is. So he'll take over DH for Valbuena, who leaves after going 0 for 1 with a pair of walks.
For me, Matt Duffy is one of the really good spring training stories.
Agreed. Thought he was one of the really good stories of 2015, in fact.
Yeah, agreed. I like him a lot.
Ball 1 to Perez.
Now, we talked about the other first baseman, and there's a lot to talk about there. Matt Duffy deserves every bit of that amount of time being talked about.
1-1. Yuri Perez is 2 for 8 with the Astros this spring. Another nice day in Central Florida. Tomorrow night, the Astros will be in Vieira playing Washington. 2-1.
And you've got that one, huh?
Yeah. That's on Astros Radio. When's our next televised game? Next week, right, Ash?
I believe the 15th.
15th, okay. That will be Washington here. That would be next Tuesday. That's Super Tuesday.
Uh-oh.
Could that be right? We're doing a game on Super Tuesday? Wow. It's going to be a big day.
Get out and vote for your favorite Astro.
On Root Sports. And who's your partner that day, Ash?
It's going to be Steve Sparks.
Okay.
We are going to sparkle all over the place.
Good, yeah. You guys are a good team. There's a walk to force in a run, and that makes it 7-2. Things coming unraveled for the Braves here. Max Stassi grounded out earlier in the inning to advance a runner from second to third. So, you know the old saying, well, you don't want to give up outs because that can cost you a big inning. Not necessarily here. Now, we talked with A.J. Hinch about the Astros offense last year, and he does not agree that it's an all-or-nothing offense the way it was characterized by many last year.
Toronto Blue Jays led in home runs, 2 more than the Astros last year, and I've heard people on teams like that say, it's too much based on the home run. I say, so what? That's the best quick strike offense you could possibly have. Are you upset about the Green Bay Packers on years when they score on 80-yard bombs thrown? And I think it's great to have the guys that can drive it.
Well, AJ says, we're not too sure about this year because we have some different players here. But we're trying to be more efficient in certain areas. Stassi strikes out, and the Astros have a big inning here in the fourth, coming up with a 5-run frame to lead it 7-2. Way down to the Astros clubhouse. The Astros lead the Braves 7-2. They've out-hit Atlanta 7-5 along the way. And they had a big 5-run fourth inning to snap the 2-2 tie. Pat Neshek worked the top of the fourth in that one inning. He allowed 2 hits, no runs, with no walks, and he struck out 1. Josh Fields comes in the game now. He is pitcher number 4 for the Astros. And this spring, Fields is 0-0 with an ERA of 0 for just one outing, one inning. Last year in 54 games, he went 4-1 with 5 holds and a 3.55 ERA. Good strikeout numbers, 67 in 50 innings for Josh Fields last year.
Fields, Brownie, was the guy that I think was counted on to come in as the power arm last year, deservedly so. He's got one of those. He can pick up the strikeout when you need it, get the big out. Sometimes that big out is needed in the fourth inning or wherever it might come up. And Josh Fields is valuable in that regard.
He is, and he did come through. Josh is now 30 years old. He's from Hull, Georgia. He was the closer at the University of Georgia. Then Seattle drafted him in the first round in 2008. He then went in a trade to Boston, and the Astros got him in the Rule 5 draft. Very good choice, who has really panned out well. Michael Bourne takes his first pitch, and it's ball 1. Michael is 1 for 2 in this game. We have a number of changes for the Astros. A lot of the players have gotten their 3 plate appearances, and they're finished for the day. So Nolan Fontana is one of the infielders in this game right now. He's at second base. Alex Bregman is playing shortstop now. Preston Tucker's in left field. Andrew Applin in right field.
I think you had a little Danny Worth mention earlier.
Yeah.
And I got to watch Danny Worth along with the main guys on the Astros infield take some work this morning. Danny Worth is darn impressive. Defensively, he is slick.
Well, he's 30 years old. He's been in the big league several years. And he was shopping around as a free agent. And he liked the matchup with the Astros being interested in him. It's going to be tough for him to be on the opening day roster, certainly, the way things shake out. But you know what happens during a season. Usually injuries come along, and he would be one of those good call-up possibilities if there's a need. Two balls and 2 strikes for Michael Bourne. Bregman gets it on to White with Speedy Bourne running.
That was a tough play. That speed dictates that you have to charge full out.
It sure does, and no bobbles allowed if you want to get this guy.
Nope, you better be clean right there. And he's all out on that sprint. That's a good play.
Kept his body under control, makes the nice throw on the run. Ozzie Albies is the batter. He's 0 for 2. Now we've had a chance to see Bregman a few times. Nothing not to like about him. Tucker in left field. I realize that's a lot of negatives, but nonetheless, there are many positives about Alex Bregman.
Nothing not to like about him, huh?
Well, it's spring training, right? We all need the work.
Mom and Dad are going to be darn proud.
We need a lot of repetitions down here, Ash.
Yeah. Well, I like it. I mean, yeah. As that came out of your mouth and I'm looking at the fly ball go toward Preston Tucker, I thought, yeah, there's nothing not to like about him, too.
Freddie Freeman with a 2-run homer also has a walk.
Looks like it's first pitch swing time for the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah. So when you were playing, and I know this is not anything close to a regular season at bat, but you do want to have a quality at bat in a spring training game.
Yeah, you don't tell a guy that goes to the plate in the spring or any time that you don't take this one serious.
Right.
You go to the plate, you better be dead serious. Can't begin to tell you how many at-bats you wind up coming back to the bench and shaking your head saying, I just gave that one away. I didn't have my mindset right. Something was wrong, and I gave it away, and it hurts when you say that to yourself.
Well, some have suggested maybe the Braves should go all the way with this rebuilding and trade Freeman, but they have indicated he's an important part of their future. He's on a multi-year deal.
Is he that guy that carries forward to the new stadium?
Yeah, it would appear that they think he is.
You have to bring something that the fans recognize. And I imagine those in charge of the Braves this year are hoping that some other guys step up to that position.
Out to right field. And Applin's there for the catch. A 1-2-3 fifth for Josh Fields. Keeps the Astros in the lead 7-2.
7-2, and we're getting a chance to catch up with Jake Marisnick, who's out of the game now, and you've had a few games here under your belt, so you're probably feeling a little bit better than maybe you were a week ago. Where are you as far as preparing in spring training here?
I mean, feeling better. You know, it's about getting your timing down and stuff, and working on a few different things and getting that down, and I mean, it's been feeling good.
You guys having any fun? Seems, I mean, you're always smiling, you're always messing with each other, but what's the spring training been like in the clubhouse and getting to be, I know it's a lot of the same guys, but you're creating a new team, really.
Yeah, I mean, you come into spring training a lot of times, and there's kind of a, oh, here we go, it's a long spring training, but not this time. I mean, you come in, and a lot of guys are having fun, and makes it kind of a relaxed environment, and we're all loving it.
As far as you at the plate, maybe some adjustments that you're making, it looks like. So tell me what you're working on right now.
I mean, biggest thing is kind of timing, getting my timing down, and I'm starting a lot earlier than I ever have, and I mean, definitely helping out the pitch selection and all that, and I think that's a big part of the game that I need to improve on is pitch selection.
And how important is it to maybe consistency for you this season?
Yeah, and I mean that ties into it. The pitches you're swinging at, and I mean making sure you're getting started early.
All right, you've been to Dinosaur World and I think a water skiing Hall of Fame. What's behind these visits?
Well, me and Springer were driving, and there's the big T-Rex on the side of the road, and he looks at me. He's like, "Are we pulling over to take a picture with that?" And I mean, you can't say no to it, so I pulled over and got that picture. But we missed the water skiing Hall of Fame. I'm pretty disappointed about that.
Do you have some other visits planned? I mean, some other places you're going to visit? There's Gatorland or something you could visit. Disney?
Yeah, there's a couple different. We're trying to hit some spots that are like on the way. Springer's not on the trip with me tomorrow, so maybe I'll take a lone selfie tomorrow. I don't know.
Selfie by yourself? Well, there's also a shoot around, and I heard you didn't do so hot. What happened?
I mean, I don't think a 1 seed has ever lost before to a 16 seed, but that definitely happened today.
Whoa.
Yeah, we were definitely. It was me and Bregman against Harris and Sip, and things didn't go so well for us.
How did you get the #1 seed?
Well, it was just in our heads, you know. We didn't really have real seeds. It was just kind of drew out of a hat who you're playing. But, I mean, you look at us shoot, and you can clearly see we're the #1 seed out there. But a little upset.
You mentioned Springer a few times. This outfield seems very close as a relationship goes. It seems like you guys all hang out maybe on and off the field as well. What is it like being a part of such a tight group like that?
It's awesome. And it's I mean, it's a lot of fun. I mean, whether we're here, whether we're at home at our houses afterwards, we're always having fun, and I think that makes a good environment. Everybody's excited to come to the field, and I mean, a lot of times in spring training you're not. I mean, you got to wake up early. It's long days, but I mean, the group we have makes it light, makes it fun, and I mean, there's a lot of excitement here right now.
A very good group defensively. It's really fun to watch you guys and what you can do out there. But for you, what are some keys on making some of these great catches that you have?
I mean, a lot of it is being loose out there, and I think that's what all of us are. I mean, we're having fun, and it's like we're playing baseball in the backyard, just running down balls and making plays.
As we get showered with seeds. Now you know what it's like to be me, Jake.
Yeah, I might stop doing that. I don't like it.
things. I know. You guys heard it up there. He's going to stop throwing seeds at me. I'm going to send it back up to you and let Jake get on with the rest of his day. Thanks for joining us, Jake.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
He's on record.
Brownie.
He's on video. We've got him, Julia. So a tough day for the number 1 seeds falling to the number 16 seeds.
I like that self-evaluation. It's easy to see that we were the number 1s. And I am going to go with Springer and Marisnick for most interesting men in the world.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's out there.
Well, he was interrupted by that loud whack on the fly ball by Tyler White. He made a loud noise. And he has some interesting at-bats. He's got 2 hits in this game.
But by the way, for Julia's sake, he said I might stop tossing seeds at Julia.
Not I will stop.
Yeah.
Marwin Gonzalez has the 0-2 count. Pitcher is Mauricio Cabrera for the Braves. He's pitcher number 4 for Freddie Gonzalez. One and 2 with Preston Tucker on deck. Well, the fun quotient is pretty high with these guys this spring.
Yeah, I was talking about the little dance stuff going on with Springer and Carlos Gomez this morning, and it's not like it was disruptive. It's like it's a given part of things. While the focus was there was some dancing going on that was in tune with the music at the ballpark, and I don't know, it's kind of the heartbeat of this club.
Yeah. 2-2 to Marwin. Took a little dive on that last pitch down and in. Now full count. Well, the Orioles apparently have signed Pedro Alvarez. Ash, did you see that?
Had not seen that. Is that today?
There was a rumor, there was a report that they had. I don't know if it's been announced today or not. But that would give them some real thump. He would be the DH because he's had fielding problems. That would give them several really good home run hitters. Got Chris Davis, of course, Manny Machado. Really good group of guys who can go deep.
Yeah, is Matt Waiters going to be able to stay healthy for a season and provide some of that thump?
True. Mark Trumbo's on that club.
Yes. He really tailed off in terms of production after leaving the Angels.
Center fielder hits a lot of home runs. This one could get out to right field. The wind's blowing out to left, but Marwin goes out to right. Number 2 of the spring for Marwin Gonzalez, 8-2 Houston.
That is a quick bat home run. To me, Marwin is more genuine power from the right side, kind of more the big hitter swing. From the left side, choke down, quick stroke, and he drops some quick barrel on this one.
The Astros get their second long ball of the day. That's their 14th of the spring.
I think Dave Hudgens, the hitting coach right there, was highly impressed with that swing.
And the point is not to forget Marwin in the first base derby because he can certainly play that position.
Well, it's a given he's going to be one of the infielders, I would think, right?
He's on the club.
Yep. This is a guy that's not being talked about much right now. Preston Tucker, guy that added a lot last year, and when he's swinging it right, he is thoroughly dangerous.
Tucker takes that pitch down and in. Tucker has a homer this spring. The Astros now with 14 homers. They came into this game tied for second in spring training with the White Sox. Detroit led with 13. And the Astros have not given up a long ball until today. Freddie Freeman went deep. So they have a lead over their opponents 14-1 in homers in spring training.
Got some serious disparity going on right there.
That would be a nice ratio to take well into the regular season.
Try to match that one all year.
Now, when this game started, for what you want to make of spring training stats, and that's why we hardly ever even mention them, they had an ERA of 2.86.
When I think of spring training games, I think of those 10-8 games.
Yeah.
And so a number like that's pretty impressive.
It is. Second baseman back for this one, and that is out number 2. Chase Peterson will be the guy at second base, according to what we're reading about the Atlanta Braves. Talk with former Astro pitcher Don Sutton, who does radio broadcasting for the Braves, along with Jim Powell. Don is really excited about the young pitchers the Braves have in their camp right now. They've made those trades. They've really bolstered the supply of arms, including the guy who was the #1 prospect of the Angels, Sean Newcomb, a left-hander. He was a first-round pick from Hartford in 2014, and that was the Andrelton Simmons deal. And then they also got another highly ranked pitcher, Chris Ellis, along with Eric Ivar, in that deal for Simmons.
I guess if Don Sutton speaks up positively about some pitching, you might want to listen.
Yeah.
He's had linebackers moving around the field here.
Nolan Fontana, who took over for Jose Altuve, has a 1-1 count.
After one pitch, Kelly Johnson, the third baseman, took off from third and headed into shallow right.
Yeah, we've seen teams do that so they can keep the shortstop where he is. But Johnson is the type of player who would be comfortable doing that because he's also played a lot of second base. Fontana at Fresno, a .241 batting average, but a .369 on base percentage. He walks a lot. Three and one. Morgan Ensberg said his new title is mindset coach. Ash?
What does that pay?
I don't know.
Mindset
I would have to get in the right mindset to answer that question.
Well, the mindset in the minor leagues when Morgan spoke about it last year was nothing but positive.
True. Fontana takes the walk. So he works with players on their mental approach.
Something is working.
Yeah. Andrew Applin comes up. But he was kind of making light of that title.
I like the title. I wouldn't brush that off my shoulder.
No. Applin, 343 at Corpus, 275 at Fresno. Excellent outfielder. And this one off the catcher allows the advance by Fontana to second base.
You know, this is going to be one of those categories that probably doesn't mean much. But you know how sometimes you see a guy and you think, I like the way this guy moves. There's something about him that just looks right. That's what Andrew Applin is to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's looked good this spring. He's 3 for 9.
Good-looking outfielder.
He is. He gets good jumps. He was the center fielder in the minor leagues as he advanced. And now he's advanced as far as AAA and looking good in camp. 25 years old later this month. Dribbles that one to first base. And that is out number 3. So the Astros get the homer from Marwin Gonzalez. And their lead is extended to 6 now. 8-2 over the Braves.
Had some fun today, too. Marwin Gonzalez, a little defensively early on. This was the first inning. Diving stop, comes up. He knows the arm strength, and he's got a very good throwing arm. Take a look at this as a witness. Turn, spin, and that ball just held its line across the infield. And nice and easy. He's not a one-trick pony. He can swing the bat, too. As he launched one into the teeth of the breeze to right field. And that's the Marwin Gonzalez we watched a lot of last year.
Well, fans are enjoying the show here. Adonis Garcia and Dan Straley just in the game. Throws strike one to Garcia, leading off the 6th inning. We have other changes for the Astros as well, as Straley, who is pitcher number 5. Josh Fields had a 1-2-3 5th inning with no walks or strikeouts. And Straley, who pitched most of last season at AAA Fresno with the Astros, was 0-1 with a 5.40 ERA in 16 2/3 innings. And as of now, he certainly is in that mix for the Astros opening day club because there haven't been any cuts. And there probably won't be for a few more days at least.
Once that minor league camp comes in, anything's possible. And of course, the guys are in now working out.
Right. Yeah, they just started today. Was their first workouts for the minor league players. Straley's been in one game this spring. He's allowed 2 earned runs in 1 inning. That's out to Applin's territory in right field. And sometimes a guy can play center really well, but has problems when he moves to the flanks, and Applin had no problem with that fly ball.
Of course, he's also dealing with a wind that was cutting that ball down and pushing it toward right center field. But I watched him a few days ago make a couple of plays that might have been viewed as somewhat routine, but they were plays that a lot of guys will make mistakes on. And he just stuck his nose in there, especially on a very tough sun.
Kelly Johnson takes, and there's ball 1 to Johnson. He has whiffed both times today. There should be a good pitching staff at AAA Fresno this season. Just by the process of elimination, looking at the pitchers who figure to be on the Astros and then those who don't figure to be on the Astros. Straley is out of options, according to reports. 1 ball, 1 strike.
We see a lot of scouts around spring training games, and I would love to know what they honestly are feeling as they watch the Astros club.
Have you asked?
Well, you know, you talk to guys and you get some generalities on occasions, but are they sitting there looking at each other and saying, you know what, these guys are just loaded?
Tell you what you should do. Ask Steve Sparks.
Well, he's got the answers. I know that.
Next week.
I'm going to wait till we're on air.
Exactly. And he's been talking to scouts. So I'm talking to scouts today. So he kind of has the pulse of that and should be able to answer your question.
Well, I think I saw what was happening. One of the scouts had grabbed the last dessert, and I saw Sparky go over there and start talking and negotiating.
Don't you hate it when somebody grabs that last dessert and you're next in line?
It's killer.
Do you like key lime pie?
I love it. Yeah? I didn't see that today, though.
No, but it just sounds good on a day like this.
So we're free to talk about anything.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't have to be here today.
No, it's a wide open discussion.
You know, and I love lasagna, too, by the way.
That also works well on a day like this. Not chili, though.
Oh, chili's good on any day.
Yeah.
It's good chili.
You like chili when it's warm?
Well, it can work for me. Mike Scott and I, way back in the day, were in Cincinnati sampling some of that fine chili, and
you guys actually liked.
Yeah, and anyway, the comments were kind of coming out. It may not be the chili everybody's thinking about, but comments were coming out from Scotty. Oh, this stuff's terrible.
Yeah.
And I decided at an early stage I was done with mine, and he said one more time, he mentioned it was terrible, and then he grabbed my plate and slammed it along with his. So never believe what your partner says at the dinner table.
He wanted to make sure that yours was just as terrible as his.
And he found out that mine might have been a little bit better.
1-1. Who would you say was the king of all eaters on that club? Charlie Kerfeld?
Charlie would seem to be the guy, wouldn't he? And Charlie was caught maybe out in the Shea bullpen with ribs or wings or something. Might have been ribs in
I think it was ribs.
In his repertoire out there. But I would say that Glenn Davis might have been the king.
Okay.
Glenn was pretty darn on. He was not beatable.
He would crush some food brought to the ballpark by Nolan Ryan from time to time, correct?
Not only crushed it, but of course Nolan would bring in some fried pies, is what he called them.
Yeah.
And they were for the whole team. That was a nice gesture, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But 5 minutes in, you'd realize the pies were nowhere to be seen, and Glenn had light-fingered and had hid them somewhere in order to be able to bring home at the end of the night. And of course he would stand there and deny.
Yeah.
Just baby-faced, look at you and say, no, I have no idea. But we knew his act.
Line drive to left field. Tucker over to play it. He gets to it and then makes the throw toward third base. And it's first and second with one out. Astudillo coming up.
Yeah, if this story somehow gets to the Big Bopper, I dare him to deny.
Okay. Straley would love a double play ball here from the Braves catcher, who is 1 for 2 in this game. Straley came up with Oakland. His first major league season was 2012. Dan's 27 years old. Went to college at Western Oregon University and Marshall University. He was cut from his high school team.
That seems a bit unusual for a major league type player.
It certainly does. 1-0.
Want to see the rest of that team.
Yeah.
That's one of those Michael Jordan stories.
It must be.
Michael was cut from the high school team. Exactly.
Really? You're making that up.
No. Wasn't it? Was it the high school? I don't want to mess the story up, but
okay.
Michael Jordan did not make one of the squads somewhere along the line.
Tucker back in left field. The wind's pushing it further. And at the wall, he leaps for it. Can't make the catch. One runner's going to score easily. And now it's going to be a double with runners at second and third. And the RBI for Astudillo. That's his second of the spring. To make it 8-3 now. Tucker kept pursuing. The wind kept taking it further away from him, and then he had the leap at the wall but couldn't make the play.
Preston knew that wall was coming in his direction, and about this point as he jumps, you can tell it's not all the way wholehearted into the ball because there's other things going on. Not easy when you get this wind blowing across the field.
Yeah, so maybe it looked as if with his jump there he thought the ball would land higher on the wall. And then he reached kind of straight out around waist level. There's Bregman throwing to third and getting the out there as the run comes home. But Bregman made a quick reaction play on the ground ball by Jace Peterson. Well, Peterson gets the RBI.
Colin Moran had to react too, and it was close play ultimately. But look where Colin is as he sees the ground ball to shortstop. He reacted beautifully and gets that tag down. Bregman was really committed to that play. Once you commit, you lose the out at first base.
Now Malik Smith, the batter. There's ball one to Smith. He's 0 for 2. Yeah, Bregman gets good reports on his athleticism, and we saw some of it on that throw to third base. Well, a lot of times that play gets messed up. In for a strike. 1-1.
Yeah, here's the story online. Okay, it comes with a question on this first one. Was Michael Jordan really cut from his high school team? Thought I had the answer, and then I came up with a question.
Okay,
well done.
You've gotten our attention, though.
A myth debunked.
Okay. So that really wasn't the truth.
I don't know. Don't start another myth. It's a classic motivational story.
Dansby Swanson's on deck. 1-2. He has been drawing rave reviews in Braves camp, and he was a first-round pick last year. In fact, he was the first player drafted right last year, but then was involved in that trade from Arizona to Atlanta. So very rare that a club would draft a guy and then trade him that quickly. But there's a strikeout to end it. And the Braves have gotten on the board, but the Astros are in front 8-4. have made some changes. They have a new pitcher. Lefty Alex Torres is warming up, and Dansby Swanson has checked in at second base. So that'll be interesting for those of you who like to follow the prospects around baseball to see Swanson.
I bet that was an intriguing year, being the #1 pick and then being dealt. It'll mess with your head a bit.
Well, yeah, it was kind of a surprising trade because the Braves traded Shelby Miller, who has an outstanding arm, and Gabe Spire to Arizona, and they got Dansby Swanson, Ender Inciarte, the Diamondbacks' #1 pitching prospect, Aaron Blair. And so they really swapped some promise for a lot of promise in return. But a lot of folks like that Arizona club maybe to win the NL West as a result of that deal, and others. Signing of Zach Greinke.
Yeah, I think that's a big one for them. I was impressed. We saw them the final 3 games of last year, and they were quality. And that was a tough series for the Astros to take 2 out of 3 and be able to get into the postseason.
It was.
But maybe the Braves are trying to make that full-out statement that we are rebuilding with top-level prospects.
It sounds that way, doesn't it? They're willing to go for it. Now Alex Bregman up for the first time. Takes a strike. Interesting, too, in this game that you have Swanson and Bregman. They were the top 2 guys. And Bregman so far this spring is 1 for 8. He has stolen a base as well. He's looked good at shortstop. Fouls that one back, and it's 0-2.
Yeah, which of the 2 is closer to making a Major League club? It would seem that Swanson's in the better position to make a Major League club.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got Eric Ibar in front of him. But Ibar is a veteran shortstop, so, you know, he may be dangled in a stretch drive deal of some kind come July. You never know. Bregman was the 2nd player drafted. And he went right to work, had a good year at Quad Cities and Lancaster. This time a strikeout, 1 out. So Torres gets the out. He is pitcher number 5 for Freddie Gonzalez. Matt Duffy's the batter. Duffy's up for the first time. Duffy is 3 for 10. And he's tied for the American League home run lead in spring training with 3, has 4 runs batted in. He's the total base leader for the Astros this spring with 12. Grounds this one to third. Oh, underneath the glove and on through into left field. That will have to be an error, Mr. Ashby.
I will not argue with you, but what I was looking at is to see what kind of swing we'd see from Matt Duffy. And he made a couple of outs yesterday, but got good swings in each case, and that's really the bottom line. And I think Dave Hutchins, the hitting coach, would tell you the very same thing. He's being aggressive, getting his hacks, and he's a guy that is desperately trying to make this team.
That third baseman is former Astros farmhand Rio Ruiz, who made that error just in the game for Atlanta. And now it's going to be Yuri Perez batting. He drew a bases loaded walk. Fouled away, strike 1. That was that deal with Evan Gattis coming from Atlanta to Houston, and Mike Fultonevich is also somebody the Braves would like to feel as a building block. They obtained in that trade as well. Hit sharply past the diving shortstop, and a clean single for Yuri Perez. Advancing Duffy to second base. 2 men on and 1 out now.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Mike Fultonevich, that right arm of his screams can't miss, and yet he is yet to prove that.
Yep. Now Fultonevich was 4-6 with a 5.71 ERA last year. Now the Astros have something working for Max Stassi. Stassi is 0 for 2 in this game. It's going to be a fun season ahead, Ash.
Sure looks that way. I base none of that comment on the win-loss record for the club right now, just in what the eyes are seeing.
Breaking pitch misses, ball 1. This is the first of 6 meetings between these two clubs this spring.
What have you liked that you've looked at on the spring?
I would say for the Astros, their starting pitching looks solid. The bullpen, of course, could be expected to be sound again, and especially adding Ken Giles. I think the fielding has been good. There just have not been many errors. Let's see. There have been 2 errors by the Astros this spring coming into this game today.
On spring training fields, that says a lot.
Yeah.
Lance McCullers is a guy in that starting rotation that you mentioned that I'm anxious to see.
It'll be a few more days, we're being told. There is the force play. No, safe at second, and they get the out at first. Oh, there was a little mix-up there among the middle infielders. Dansby Swanson was way over in the shortstop side of second, and once the ball was fielded, Ozzie Albies had to run all the way over there.
If from another angle, you'd see Swanson actually backed off of that play, enabling his shortstop to try for the double play. But in some shift scenarios, you just have no way to get the double play.
Yeah. And Swanson's normally a shortstop. Don't know how much second base he's played, but that didn't look very good.
You would like to say Altuve, positioned the same way, might have reacted initially to the bag and created a shot for the double play.
Right. John Singleton is up for the first time. Tyler White started and went 2 for 3 with an RBI. Singleton takes a strike. Singleton is 2 for 15 for a 133 average. He has 1 homer and 3 runs batted in. He came to camp with a leg up. The Astros identified him as the front runner to be their first baseman this year. Doesn't mean he has a job. Colin Moran is on deck. So it's a contest. It's a competition.
You know, everywhere you look, you see guys that could stake a claim to being on a big league roster.
Yeah. It's going to be really interesting as this month unfolds. Still too early to really say much about it. 0-2. 254 in the minors, but with the walks, he drew a .359 on base percentage and 22 homers. Singleton really hoping that he can establish himself as a major league hitter this year. That wind is getting even stronger now, and it's turning around, blowing in more. Fouled away, 0-2. We've had a lot of windy days here in Florida. That's not unusual.
Yeah, I think that wind coming in right now from right field might have even found a way to knock down the blast by Marwin.
I have to agree with you.
There it lightens up a little bit. That flag was really hung out there for a little while.
But the temperature has been ideal this spring, and humidity's been low compared to a lot of years. Singleton looks at it, and it's 1-2 to John. Grounded to first. Blocked by the first baseman's chest, and he tosses it to the pitcher, covering for out number 3. No runs, 1 hit, 1 error, 2 men left, and after 6, it's 8-4 Houston.
It's 8-4 Astros over the Braves. Astros mini plans are on sale now. Pick games and great seat locations with 15-game flex plan, or choose the best giveaways with the 10-game awards series package. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com/mini plans to get yours today. Guys.
Thanks, Julia. This would be a good time to do it. The Astros lead at 8-4. Dansby Swanson settles into the box against Dan Straley. Swanson up for the first time. That's in the air, and let's see if the right fielder Applin can get there for the catch. A one-pitch out for Dan Straley. Now Albies will be coming up. Swanson now 4 for 15 this spring, so the Braves are taking a pretty good look at him. And why not? He should be a big part of their future, it would appear. Albies is 0 for 3. Nate Fryman is on deck. The Astros took him the Rule 5 draft, and then he went to Oakland. He came back to haunt the Astros a little bit.
Most of his success while with the A's seemed to come against Houston.
That's true.
He battled and won in the end with that ground ball to end the previous half inning down at first base.
Sure did. How tall is Nate? About 6'8"?
I think that's it, 6'8".
Boy, it's amazing. Players with their size now. Struck him out. Albies is out, number 2. I've seen a lot of guys 6'7", 6'8".
You hang around the pitchers on major league rosters anymore, and you're just going to get dwarfed.
Yeah. Well, Fryman comes up. He's batting in Freeman's spot and playing his position of first base. Very nice young man. He smacks one to left, and Tucker will watch it go. Fryman does it again to the Astros.
Nice and powerful.
Home run number 2 for the Braves today. And now 8-5.
Now he's about the size, and this maybe goes back a little too far for a lot of the fans, but Frank Howard comes to mind.
Yeah.
About that size.
And Howard just dwarfed all the other guys in terms of his height at that time.
Yeah, could you just now reimagine Frank Howard standing next to Maury Wills and then slamming a baseball like that?
That didn't need any help from the wind.
You're right, though. He is really a nice fellow.
Ryan LaVarnway looks at ball 1. LaVarnway came up with Boston. He's listed as a catcher. He's played other positions, hasn't he?
I believe so. But I do believe catcher was the initial position.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good sized fellow as well.
Oh, yeah. Chase Darno is on deck.
Who has a brother who is a catcher.
LaVarnway strikes out, and the home run by Nate Fryman makes it 8-5 Houston in the 7th. Stretch here at Osceola County Stadium in Kissimmee. For the Astros' very first game this spring, Orbit made the trip to Clearwater and got together with the Philly Fanatics, 2 of the fun mascots in Major League Baseball. Sometimes they get together on those mascot mingles.
Something's going to get dirty when those 2 get together.
Oh, yeah. Now, Julia actually rode the Fanatics 3-wheeler when we were in Philly.
Yeah,
that's right.
Did she drive it, or was she a passenger?
No, she was a passenger. And she was actually kidnapped that day by the Fanatic, as I recall.
No, he's a smart guy.
Yeah. Colin Miranda batter. There's strike 1. So you guys were going pretty fast that day, as I recall.
We were flying.
Yeah.
I don't think the Philly Fanatic knew how much time we had left before things got started on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought we were going for a little joyride, and it turned a little scary. We took off. I was hanging on to him for my life.
Yeah. That looked like something a little bit more than a joyride at the time
Right.
for you. I don't know how much fun it was for you.
Then we ended up in parts of the ballpark I don't think anyone's seen in years. To get back to where we needed to go, he had to detour around. It was fun, though.
Boy, that's, yeah.
Parts of the ballpark nobody has seen in years.
I'm telling you, it was dark back there. All of a sudden, we were back to where we needed to be. I felt good.
Was it kind of like a Phantom of the Opera type experience, or what? You get to do all these fun things, though. Do people ever ask you about that? Hey,
All the time.
what's your favorite experience you've ever had? Was that it?
That's one of them.
Green Monster?
Green Monster's great too.
Oh,
On the
yeah.
road, I try to get out in those ballparks and show everyone, what's so special. I know people can't get out to these cities and these parks, and that's one of the best parts of this job.
How about the monuments in New York?
Oh, it's awesome every
Mm-hmm.
time. I have to make a trip every time.
Well, you're right. You're right. That's on the recommended list. But if people ask you, hey, Julia, I'm just starting my list of 30 stadiums. I've been to Minute Maid, so what about the other 29? Where would I start? What should be number one?
Ooh, Brownie, that's tough. I mean, you got to throw Fenway or Wrigley up there pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But I'm a big fan of Camden Yards. Love Safeco. Those would
Camden,
be.
yeah.
AT&T was great this past year.
I thought
It's a beautiful
Minnesota's
place.
park with Target Field.
Ooh, Target's good too.
That is really a fine ballpark.
Great weather there too in the summer for
That's
the
true.
Texans who are burning up.
That's an important point. It's a good beat the heat trip.
Mm-hmm.
Now this year we go Target Field and to Toronto on that trip.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah,
I'll need a jacket.
you will need a jacket. They put in new turf in Toronto now, so things will be a little different. Ground ball to second. Swanson throws out Moran.
And I want to say that was a fairly new turf already, was it
I
not?
think you're right. But people didn't like it very much. Julia, what did you think of it? I thought it was kind of weird turf.
The turf?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little strange.
Well, it
I
was
didn't get out there and take grounders.
You
on
didn't?
It, but
Well, we were there one day. Where were you?
that
you
would,
guys?
that would be the only
Yeah.
ballpark where you didn't take grounders.
Right.
We went over there at, what was it, 6 in the morning one time, Ash? And did
I don't
that?
believe it.
No,
Need
I-
video evidence. And no, I'm not doing the edge walk.
No?
I'm already saying no.
See, that could have
Well-
been your number one story if you had just kind of lived up to the billing.
I'll tell you what, Julia, I'll go up there.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Is Carl listening?
No, he's not listening to us.
Hopefully our producer is making a phone call right now to get you up there.
Tucker takes a look at ball one. Well, Julia, I've already promised you that you are going to do an inning of play-by-play this year
I can't wait.
because I found out that's on your bucket list.
It is.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's right, Ash.
So,
You're going to have to help me out.
hanging from the needle in, I can't even remember, the CN Tower in
Yeah.
Toronto, that and play-by-play. There you go.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I didn't have hanging on the
Oh, well, we
off
put-
the edge of.
Oh, I
We-
thought that was
see-
part along with the play-by-play.
Yeah,
No.
see, every time you put something on your list, we get to put something on your list. Swanson, he misplays it and does not get his man. Preston Tucker reaches on the Dansby-Swanson error.
When you play in these shifts, and that wasn't really a shift so much other than playing deep on the outfield grass. Look at this ball cross from dirt to grass right at that point where Swanson's trying to make the play.
Yeah.
Don't know if that impacted the play or not, but sometimes that can be a difficult part of it.
Yeah, you can get a bad hop there, can't you? Right where the dirt meets the grass.
Sometimes you can even anticipate a bad hop and not get it, and ultimately it's a bad hop.
You notice how the greats, though, the guys we talk about, those legendary shortstops and second basemen, they don't seem to get bad hops. They just take the bad hops out of playing the position.
Ozzie Smith used to just barehand the bad hops. Well, Omar Vizquel.
Nolan Fontana looks at ball one.
I played against Ozzie quite a bit, and boy, never would I shortchange what he did.
Oh, it was so
Omar
good.
Vizquel might have taken it another step.
He was absolutely excellent, yes. True. Yeah, their hand-eye coordination.
And Omar could still do it today. I'm sure Ozzie could too, but Omar's been around the game. And I saw him play as of a few years ago, and it was stellar.
This one skips by the catcher, and now we'll give the Astros a runner at second now, with Tucker advancing on the wild pitch. So who do you think you would put up there as the best shortstop you've seen? Would it be Ozzie?
You know, it really is unfortunate when you've got two of that level. And so I'd almost have to put them together. I think they belong together. but I've never seen anybody who could do the things. Even, did you ever just watch Omar Vizquel on a pop fly, the way he would play games, toy with pop flies?
Yes.
And the way he would just kind of catch it, flipping it to the side, whatever the case, it was like he toyed with the game defensively.
You remember, we were doing Astros radio when we were in Cleveland that one year, and Vizquel and Robbie Alomar turned the double play on the Astros.
I think, to be fair about the game, no combination has ever matched up to those two together.
Boy, that was spectacular. Fontana has a 3-0 count now.
And I think the game wasn't difficult enough for those two, and they honestly did do things that were simply for show because they could.
I think they were bored, and they just got tired of doing it the conventional way, the easy way. So it happened too quickly for us to really comprehend in the beginning, but it was a pretty standard double play ball. But Alomar didn't turn his glove to face the toss from Vizquel. He took it off the back of his glove.
Guys do that in practice. I played with a number of guys that would do that in practice, but nobody had the hair to do it in a game.
Yeah, that's venturesome. That's going out there.
You know, you see the infielders through the years that take balls, throws, line drives right off the heel pad of their glove.
Fryman gets the play at first.
And the ball will come off of there and ricochet into the right hand, and it'll look like it never hit glove. And Omar Vizquel would do that sort of thing.
Wow.
And then the ball would be in his right hand, and he would throw to first base. And meanwhile, all the players on the field are just looking at it like, you got to be kidding me.
Who is this masked man? Andrew Applin's the batter. He grounded out in the 5th inning. Well, that club at Fresno won the championship in the Pacific Coast League, and then the AAA championship as well in that one-game deciding factor.
Think anybody in the PCL wants to face the early-on Fresno Grizzlies this year? With the team that's going to be shaping up to go there? Wow.
Yeah, that's a good-looking team again this year. Applin bunts. Fryman will not be able to get him, and that gets a run home. Tucker scoring to make it 9-5 on the RBI bunt single.
You know, generally you don't think of a bunt to drive in a run in spring training as being the normal ploy, but if you're trying to leave an impression and you spot a pitcher that's falling off the mound in the wrong direction and you leave only the first baseman to make that play,
sure,
it's a sure thing base hit.
Absolutely, and it's lefty on lefty, so
yeah, that's just intelligent play right there.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to hit the guy, so bunt your way aboard.
You don't even need to deaden the bunt. Just go ahead and get it to the first baseman. There's no shot.
Well, Applin picks up the RBI on the bunt single. It is 9-5 Houston. Back in a moment. What an enjoyable day.
With the Astros on top, huh?
Yes. Alex Bregman's the batter. And the new pitcher in the game for the Braves throws ball 1. Madison Youngener. Bregman struck out in the 6th inning.
How many Madisons play Major League Baseball? And in each case, you have that bit of an unusual last name.
Yeah, we've seen it a few times.
Madison Bumgarner.
Yeah. 2-0. How do you think Madison Bumgarner and the Giants will do in the NL West?
Well, the year sets up nicely for them, doesn't it? 2016, it has that even ring to it. They've won World Series the last 3 even years they've taken to the field.
With the runner going, it's fouled. 2 balls and a strike. Well, of course, when they've won those World Series recently, they have had stellar pitching, which is usually a hallmark of any World Series winner. And there's reason to think they might have that again this year. With Johnny Cueto joining the crew and Jeff Samardzija, they still have Jake Peavy, Matt Cain. Throw to second base, and Applin is out on a 2-4 caught stealing. The Astros come up with another run with 1 hit, 1 error, and they lead at 9-5 moving to the 8th. situation, the revolving door rotation. As the Astros have moved from one set of starters to another, you see who's made those starts the last 3 years. Eric Bedard, of course, was around for 26 of them. And Lucas Harrell, Jordan Lyles, Bud Norris now with the Braves. Scott Kazmir has moved along to the Dodgers. It's a lot of different starting pitchers, Ash.
Certainly has been, and you can see some names there that really jump out. Philip Umber had a perfect game in the major leagues. Mike Fiers, of course, a no-hitter with the Astros. Roberto Hernandez was a part of things early on last year. Really did a nice job for the club. And on and on. You can see some of the names. Nick Tropiano was a guy that maybe a lot of people put their hopes in. He moved on to the Angels.
Kevin Chapman's in the game now in relief, working the 8th inning. And Chapman delivers. 1-0 for Kevin. Dan Straley worked a couple of innings, giving up 3 hits, 3 runs, with 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. Two 2-0 for Chapman. The left fielder Tucker comes over toward the line. 1 out. So let's take a look at what we expect to see in 2016 from the Astros starters. Keuchel, McHugh, McCullers.
No doubt about the top spot. Dallas Keuchel, Colin McHugh, 19-game winner last year. Lance McCullers, maybe as much promise as anybody, any young pitcher coming into a rotation this year can bring along. I loved watching Lance McCullers, and again, I'm anxious to see him get to the hill this spring. But that's pretty formidable right there, the top 3.
Chapman delivers. He gets strike 1. Well, the Astros do have some depth, too. When you consider what their AAA rotation will probably look like. 1 ball, 1 strike, and a Major League general manager has to figure on going into double digits to starting pitchers during a season.
It's going to happen. That's all there is to it. You know, Dallas Keuchel made his first appearance of the spring today, 2 innings. You know, it leaves me thinking, is there enough time to get yourself to where you can run out and go 7 innings in your first start, as Dallas did last year? And you have to believe that he and the skip and Brett Strom have it all figured out. But, yeah, I'm anxious to have Dallas ready to go that 6, 7+ innings for that opening start.
Mm-hmm. This is Rio Ruiz. He's 3 for 9. And he works the count full. He was one of the top Astros prospects. Traded along to the Braves. Did not have a good year last year. Chapman would love to be a part of that mix in the Astros bullpen as well. He was there in 2013 and again 2014 with 25 appearances in 13, 21 and 14. Only 3 with Houston last year. He was at Fresno. Tucker back in left field, turning. The ball 1 hops the wall. Ruiz has hurt himself and he's limping, reaching down to that left ankle. Oh boy. Well, he got what would have been an extra base hit, but couldn't get to second base. Before he got to first, he started limping and reached down for that left ankle.
You do anything for a hit, huh? Maybe not that.
No.
And yeah, probably a good sign for the Braves that he did at least take a shot at running on it. I hate to have that happen at a spring game, and he's done for his day's work. Preston Tucker's been having a bit of a workout in left field dealing with that wind.
He really has. Ruiz limps over to the dugout, comes out of the game for a pinch runner. That's a tough one for him. Trying to impress the Atlanta Brass and has to come out of this game.
A lot of people think of left field as being the easy outfield position. I really don't think so. To me, there's the most demanding is center field, but it's probably the easiest to play for a guy who has the wheels. But Preston is really battling a sun, or a wind rather, that's driving the baseball out.
This is Blake Lawley, a catcher, with strike one. One ball and one strike.
For Kevin Chapman, in my mind, it's been all about throwing strikes, staying in the strike zone, getting ahead on hitters, because the stuff is there.
I have to agree with you. Well, I don't have to, but I do. 2 balls and a strike.
Well, for the moment, I think you really ought to consider that you have to.
If you want key lime pie.
You know, I'm fixated right now on key lime pie and lasagna tonight. Maybe not in that order, but
do they even go together?
Of course they do.
If you were a chef preparing a meal, would that be something you would put together on a dinner table?
Not on a TV show. But at my dinner table, that'll work anytime.
2 and 2. You do much cooking yourself?
No. I used to mix in a little bit, but not my gig. How about you?
None.
Well, but
3 and 2.
I can picture you with the apron on and the whole bit.
That's not happening.
You a barbecuer?
No.
Or
no. We don't have a grill. It's tough to barbecue without a grill.
I've heard that story.
There's one on its way, though, probably sometime between now and 2019 or so.
I see. That's a little bit nebulous.
Yeah, it's going to take a while to get there. Caught in center field by Perez, 2 down. This would be a good night for a barbecue.
Now you're all about preparing for tomorrow's night game.
Well, that's a good point. There are extensive preparations to be done for that. Daniel Castro.
Are you ready? You have your night vision going?
No, but you know those juggernauts, the Washington Nationals, will be ready for the Astros.
Night vision goggles to work the game.
Have you seen the sensors that they have that they attach to pitchers and hook them up to computers? Here's a play at second base.
Oh, my.
One hop throw. Safe. Oh. Catcher was headed off the field, Gonzalez, after making that throw. And he didn't get a call at second. Not the one he was anticipating, anyway.
There's no way the second base umpire could have anticipated this ball getting there this quickly. Look at this arm. Now, I'll tell you what, it's the best arm I've watched in a while. Saw him the other day, Gonzalez behind the plate, and he just will flat out wear it out with that arm.
Well, he was very good at throwing out runners last year in the minor leagues. Alfredo Gonzalez. And he's been placed on the 40-man roster for the first time in his career. Venezuelan-born. Somebody to watch. 2-0.
If he had never had a professional hit with that arm, I think I'd have to consider protecting him.
Yeah. He's only 23. In for a strike, 2-1. He threw out 24 of 51 at 3 different minor league stops combined last year. And he can hit. He hit 321 at Quad Cities, 340 at Lancaster, 300 at Corpus Christi.
Wow. That is a package of talent right there.
And a walk. Runners at first and second. So that would be probably number 1 on the list for Kevin Chapman. As you indicated, fine-tune the control to get back to the big leagues. Throw more strikes, get in more favorable counts, Ash, because the stuff is there.
Look, there are guys that walk hitters in the major leagues and they survive, and some succeed very well. But for Kevin Chapman, who's going to come in primarily to get some left-handed bats, you can't go out there and walk somebody.
Well, especially if you're a lefty specialist.
Yep. And that, to this point, is what he's been. When he gets summoned, he's out there to get a couple of left-handed bats.
Malik Smith is 0 for 3. That's a good pitch.
He's got a slider, and it's wicked.
Chapman came from Kansas City in a trade. Kevin was a 4th-round pick of the Royals. He'll have to cover. Singleton leads him with the toss, and just a step ahead of the base runner for the out. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. It's no runs, a hit, 2 left for Atlanta. In the top half, the Astros lead it 9-5. Youngin are getting ready for the bottom of the 8th inning, and the Astros have had a nice day of it with the bats with the 9 runs. They got 5 of those in the 4th, and they have hit a couple of home runs today. Jason Castro hit one to the opposite field in the 2nd, and Marwin Gonzalez took one out in the 5th. So a nice day for A.J. Hinch. And the Astros get this, what he hopes will be their final at-bat of the day, going with Alex Bregman batting. He was at the plate when Applin was thrown out trying to steal. There's ball 1. Of course, that was a difficult choice when the Astros were drafting in that number 2 spot, but seemingly very, very happy with the selection of Alex Bregman, who's called by one of those prospect publications as a very safe pick, which means, to most people anyway, who have been around watching baseball for a while, that he should be a good major leaguer.
I haven't seen enough to know what all the skill levels are, but when a guy can play shortstop well, you know that you have the option down the line of other positions as well. And he's known to have a quick bat. Some people say an unusual swing.
What do you think?
I haven't seen enough. My first impression was a little bit like Paul Molitor. Real still hands, and he swings from there. And I thought Paul Molitor was unusual, but he was unusually good is what he turned out to be.
Yeah, he does have quiet hands. Not much movement here. Struck him out. Dave Hudgens said they were trying to get him to load a little bit more with that swing than he does right now. That would add some power potentially if he's able to do that.
Yeah, and it makes sense. But again, if you bring up the name Paul Molitor, and it's not fair because there's always exceptions to rules, but he hit from that just dead stopped hand position, and he'd get the barrel to the ball as good as anybody.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. Good manager, too. Matt Duffy's the batter.
Did a whale of a job with the Twins last year.
He did. So there was a note the other day that Miguel Sano is going to be their right fielder this year.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, we didn't see a whole lot from his bat last year, but a lot of the league did.
Yeah. Duffy looks at it. It's 2-0 to Matt.
I'll continue to bring up the name of Matt Duffy. I'm very impressed right now. And I know you have liked the guy.
Yeah. Just looking at numbers, they're solid. And then watching him last September, and you indicated the way he's moved around this spring, he looks to be very well coordinated. Just hearing people who've watched him the last few years, solid third baseman, good first baseman, but he's been primarily a third baseman. So first is the newer position for him.
Well, that's a good sign. If you can play third, you should be able to go across the diamond.
True.
I wouldn't say that the other way.
No, you're right. Takes a walk, and I think the Jeff Bagwell visit could prove to be really important. He was here for a few days working with the first baseman on playing the position, and apparently, according to the stories, just really stressing to them the value that they can bring to the infielders and that they must bring to the infielders. Catch the ball, scoop it out of the dirt. You're not just a hitter. All these things, and this is a good fielding club, but as you know, that first baseman can save the other infielder so many errors by digging balls out of the dirt.
You know, Jeff was certainly good at that, but he was good at a whole lot more. And when I think of the great first baseman that I have seen play the game, and Keith Hernandez, maybe as good as any I played against, a lot of guys. Jeff Bagwell was fantastic. I think of Wes Parker when I was young. These guys did so much more. They were aggressive, and I'm seeing some of that in what I see from Matt Duffy now. It's not like he's out there playing at first base a whole lot. It's in drills, but, boy, he looks slick.
He does. Well, for example, if a first baseman happens to go 0 for 4, which none of them want to do, he could still help win a game with his glove. We don't tend to typically put first baseman near the top of the list, but if you can save a throwing error with the bases loaded, that is big.
Yeah, talk to infielders. It's an unsung role, I think, a lot of the time. Oh, anybody can play down there. Well, maybe not. Not many have played it really well.
Yeah, you mentioned some of the really good ones down through the years, especially Keith Hernandez.
He was fantastic and so aggressive.
There's the force at second and the turn by Dansby Swanson into a 6-4-3 double play. We go to the 9th inning with the Astros up 9-5. Another productive day for the Astros so far. They've out-hit the Braves 10-9. The Braves have made 3 errors. The Astros now go with right-hander James Hoyt. He's 29 years old. He was in that Evan Gattis trade with the Braves back in January of 15 for Mike Fultonevich, Andrew Thurman, and Rio Ruiz. And so far this spring, he's had 2 scoreless outings, 2 1/3 innings total, for right-hander James Hoyt, who began his career in independent ball. He's from Boise, Idaho, went to Centenary College in Louisiana.
Kind of bounced around in that independent league style, and it's really great to see guys that are able to make it, that start from there.
He is 6'6". He fits into that tall pitcher mold we talked about earlier. And going to the 9th inning, he'll be facing the top of the lineup with Swanson to lead it off. Swanson hit a fly ball to right in the 7th inning. We're hearing good things about Hoyt, who throws strike 1. Kevin Chapman in 1 inning allowed 1 hit, no runs. He had a walk and no strikeouts. Hoyt last year at Fresno was 0-1 with a 3.49 ERA. He pitched in 47 games with 9 saves in 12 tries there. Good strikeout numbers.
Good looking slider right there. That was tight.
Yeah, we talked with Dyer Miller. We mentioned him earlier, the AAA Fresno pitching coach for this year. And he mentioned the name of James Hoyt as somebody who can help the big league club this year. We took a look earlier at all the Astros' different starting pitchers the last 3 years. And that bullpen picture is something that always requires attention. in terms of the depth required to get through a major league season. Astros relievers did not get overburdened with appearances last year, but nonetheless, it's sometimes difficult to put those really good years back to back. That one goes foul.
In today's world of not overtaxing starters, getting them out early, don't want to go more than about 110, maybe 115 at most pitches, those bullpens are going to get used. There's just no way around it, and it creates a little bit of a round robin with the guys from the minor leagues.
Pretty quiet out there with the bullpen coach, Craig Bjornson, and his crew.
Doesn't look like the tension level is high.
No. It's a fairly relaxing day for them. Well, we're getting the research information that the only team in the last 50 years to use only 5 starting pitchers in an entire season was the 03 Seattle Mariners.
03?
Yeah, we thought the Cincinnati Reds had done it a few years ago. Okay, they used 6 in 2012.
Well, that's darn impressive.
Yeah. Hoyt strikes out Swanson. There's one out. Now Ozzie Albies comes up. He is 0 for 4.
Tigers, I'm told, used 6 in 2013.
Yeah, so, and I think Cincinnati took it maybe into September, having used only 5, as I recall. But still, that's very rare. It's not unusual. What did the Astros have? 13 different starting pitchers last year? Something like that. That is not unusual at all anymore. And the other trend is that players visiting the disabled list seem to be staying there longer in recent years. There's ball 1. I was hearing the other day that the New York Mets, every player who went on the disabled list for them stayed longer than 15 days. Nobody
was back on the short note, huh?
No, nobody had just the required 15 days and then came back. Tucker in left field. And I think a lot of that is, well, there are different factors. One is that teams have a bigger investment in players now, and they're more cautious and conservative with trying to make sure they don't bring them back too soon.
That's a big part of it.
Right. And I think another thing is that players' agents give them the advice that, well, now, take a few extra days here because this is your career and there's a lot of money on the line, and if you come back too soon, that could cost you more money.
Yeah, that can go both ways, though, too. If you go to arbitration, you want a guy who performed a lot and, got out there and is perceived to have been a big part of the club.
True. Fryman was strike 1. And it's 0-2 for James Hoyt. Dallas Keuchel made his spring debut today in 2 innings. He allowed 1 hit, no runs. He had 4 ground ball outs among the 6 outs he turned in. And the other pitchers have been Neil Kotz, Pat Neshek, Josh Fields, Dan Straley, Kevin Chapman. Pitcher number 7, Hoyt, hits him with a pitch. Fryman going down, and he stays down on a knee. Looked like the left hand is where he got hit.
It's the fastball that classically runs in on the right-hand hitter, and you get the bat started. You can't hold back, and something is going to get hit. Yeah. Man.
Yeah, so close to the end of the ball game, and that happens. Ouch. Freddie Gonzalez and a trainer went out, but Fryman staying in the game. Terry Pendleton, the first base coach, alongside. Lavarnway would be the batter. Another note on that 03 Seattle Mariners team using only 5 starters all year. 40-year-old Jamie Moyer was one of the 5. Slowly hit, and this looks like it could be an infield hit. Colin Moran with a throw. No, sir, it is over because Colin Moran barehanded it and made a fine play to get Lavarnway. That is a good way to end it because the Astros continue to play solid baseball in the field, and they have supported their pitchers very well this spring, Ash.
Yeah, keep swinging the bats. That's always something you want to do in the spring, but I never would anticipate coming in and seeing a team pitch this well. Not much speed being shown down the line on this play. It enabled Colin Moran to come up and make a nice play. Finish this thing off. Nice little round of high fives going on. Get used to that. That's always a nice thing to have about 100 times a year.
The Astros are 6-2. We'll be back at beautiful Kissimmee next week for 3 straight telecasts. It'll be Ash and Steve Sparks and AJ Hinch and the crew. And that begins with the Astros and the Nationals squaring off on Super Tuesday the 15th. Coverage begins with a pregame show at 11:30 a.m. Stay tuned now for the postgame show. For Julia and Ash, Bill Brown inviting you to join us next week.